This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me for this epic showcase edition is none other than Josh Finney.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, Josh. We're here to talk Xbox again. We are recording about 5-ish, 6-ish hours after the megaton Xbox showcase. Very excited. I'm very excited to talk about Xbox, Josh. This is like, I don't know. I don't know if this showcase could have been really any better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is, man, we've talked for years. You and I have been talking Xbox together for like 5-6 years. And for the entirety of our friendship, we have been like, this is pretty much the show that we've always wanted them to do.
Yeah, this was incredible. So what we're gonna do, Josh has a ton of notes. I have a few notes as well. We're just gonna kind of go through the showcase in order, and obviously the big bombshell will be Starfield at the end, and then we're gonna go over the state of Xbox essentially at the very end. This is a Boss Rush Extra. You'll be able to see this on Patreon and YouTube at the same time, and then it'll go up on podcast feeds soon as well. This is pretty important extra episode, so we're going to try to get it out to everybody as soon as possible. So you know, if you're watching on YouTube or you're hearing this somewhere else, it'll be up everywhere soon. But Josh, overall thoughts on the showcase? I thought this was the best showcase Xbox has done in at least the last 5 years.
I would go further.
Yeah, I mean this was pretty incredible. I mean, you and I were early on. We were texting back and forth. They showed. We thought we didn't know what they were going to end with because they showed all three things they could have ended with pretty early. What are your overall thoughts on this?
I mean, A plus. It's an A plus, man. This is the kind of show that you dream of having. I think if you're one of the big three. I was talking with our friend Austin Campbell earlier, and he said it felt like Microsoft picked up a discarded playbook from Sony and ran with it.
Yeah,
like they took their notes and put them into the PlayStation notebook, and they put PlayStation's into theirs on how to make a good show. And this really did feel like a PlayStation show, right? Like you had, I think we had 11 different studios there showing projects, whether they're continuing projects, expansions, brand new games. You had a heavy emphasis on the Japanese market, specifically
which was
from
awesome.
Sega. And that's a classic partnership going back to the early months of the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to the Dreamcast, really.
I mean,
if you think about
it was joked when the Xbox came out that it was the next Sega system, essentially. And it really has kind of like picked up that torch in a lot of ways, I think. But to see, even 12 months ago, I think we would have laughed each other out of the room if we said that Capcom was going to show a new IP, that we were going to see the next Yakuza, we were going to see 2 Persona games and Atlas's next game all debut at an Xbox show. That is as much validity as I think I need. Oh, and by the way, every one of those are I'm going to rephrase what I was going to say. 3 of those 5 games are coming day one to Game Pass.
Yeah. And I bet the other 2 come at some point. At least one of, I bet
the Yakuza one will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I bet it comes.
The entire franchise is on Game Pass, so. But overall, I mean, just absolutely incredible showing from them. And then I'm going to echo what so many people have said today. The Starfield Direct at the end, which was almost the length of the entire Xbox show, mind you. At 45 minutes long. I thought that was going to be like 25 or 30. It was 45 minutes long. I still feel like I don't know anything about this game. Is the single greatest demo I have ever seen for a game before its release.
Yeah, this. So you know me. I'm not like a huge Bethesda game guy, right? Like we've talked about this in the past. But I'm watching this demo and I'm like, I think they got me. I think, I think they finally got me. Uh,
But
this deep dive was like the way you were like they showed scanning things,
mm,
like the material collecting, the ship building, right? Then they just built that giant kind of mech
this is
towards the
like
middle.
the unholy union of Skyrim, Fallout, No Man's Sky, and Mass Effect, like all just kind
Yeah.
of rolled into one. And like our greatest vision for each of those, I think. Like kind of funny did their they did their recap earlier, and I was listening to that one as they were doing it live, and I think it was oh god, was it Greg Miller who was saying it? Who was like, we had all this, we've heard all the marketing speak from Phil, from Sarah Bond, saying this is the biggest game that Bethesda's ever done. This could be the most important RPG, not just the year, but of the generation.
Hmm.
Snowbike Mike over there has said like he thinks this will be one of the defining games of the generation and things like that. And I think Blessing summed it up really well when he said that this is a game that he did not think that any game was going to compete with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And he says, after seeing this 45-minute demo, because he was like, the previous like gold standard for me for seeing an industry demo was Fallout 4.
Hmm.
We all remember the Fallout 4 presentation, and we've yearned
Oh
for that since. Like, that's the stuff of legend with Bethesda.
yeah, I mean that fall like I mean Bethesda always does
And
really
that was
great
only
kind
15
of deep
minutes.
dives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you're like, oh my God, because we got that 15-minute deep dive last year.
Yeah.
But even comparing, like they walked through the same city square last year and this year, somebody pulled side by side screenshots of that.
I
It
saw that.
looks insanely better this year. And I thought it looked fine last year.
Yeah, but there's like a lot more
Oh my
detail.
God,
There's
there's
some
so much
debris. There's like
polish.
it looks lived in. Like
Oh,
there's
it looks
it's
incredible. But and like at the risk of talking about Starfield too much though, like, I found it funny that Blessing was saying that he was basically like, it's a race now. Like
Mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom, yeah, it's this like franchise defining game. This could be a platform and generation defining game, and we feel like we already had this conversation last year about Elden Ring.
Mhm.
So it's like, is this another one? Like this is one of those like true you can only play it on current gen
Mhm.
games.
Yeah.
It's not cross gen in any way, which I mean, like other ones have been. It's running on the best hardware. We did get the news out of the IGN interview this afternoon that it is going to run on Series X and S at a locked 30 frames.
Great. I mean,
Locked.
if
It's
it's
fine.
locked
It's fine.
and there's this much detail going into it, like, I mean, yeah, would we have preferred 60 frames or a performance mode or something at some point? Yes, of course we
I
would have.
mean,
But
and
like,
it's not out of the question that you're going to get that. But Todd Howard
yeah,
made sure to address that. He says we
hmm
chose to focus on the visual fidelity over frame rate. He's like,
yeah,
because we have so much detail and everything, and we want you to see that detail. You cannot look at that 45-minute presentation and tell me that game looks bad in any way, shape, or form in its performance.
yeah,
You cannot tell me that.
yeah. It's so funny because like some of the, not that like, not that you should be trusting like Facebook or anything, but
Mhm.
I popped on Facebook for the first time in like a long time, really, and like
Oof.
some like it always shows like the newest messages in your groups, like groups
Uh
you're in
huh.
first, and everybody was like, I don't know why everybody's going crazy about this, and because there's a bunch of PlayStation groups I'm in, or like a bunch of just generic video game groups
Hmm.
I'm in, and they're all like, which I should probably leave, but I'll tell you that story later. Um, and they're all like 5 out of 10. That show is awful. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I
Just because of
yeah
your platform of choice had like a sorry showcase, like you're gonna put this one down. I'm sorry,
yeah.
you
It's
know.
funny. This is night and day of what we saw 2 weeks ago, and even what we saw last Thursday. This is night and day. What I expect from a show. This was shorter than Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest event, and
Hmm.
it was so much better. It's not even funny. Like that, the fact that the actual Xbox portion of the show was barely an hour
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Hmm.
Blows my mind. But I guess like, should we just go ahead and get into it?
So they let off they kicked off they didn't even do like a regular introduction. They just kicked it off with the showing of a game, right? And it was they kicked it off with Fable. Uh,
The scream that left my mouth.
I could hear it all the way from.
I was in a I was my our good friend. Ray Apollo and I were watching it together as we always do, and we were both screaming. It was just that's all you could hear. We couldn't hear the dialogue of what was going on. We were both just screaming. We were like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" I thought this was the one more thing. I thought this was the guaranteed lock. And if
Yeah.
they had shown this at the end, I don't think anybody would have been disappointed.
No.
But
No.
they
That
led off
this
with it, and that's when I knew, okay, they came to play today.
the trailer was awesome, and like the kicker at the end when they revealed what's his face
Richard Ayoade.
yeah, Richard Ayoade was the giant from like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Well, I like how it like blended the current day with myths. And it seems like this is definitely a very different Fable than we remember, right? Like there's Jack and the Beanstalk, you see, some stuff with the pumpkins. I would love if you played through different Fables. I think that actually would be really cool.
Yeah, well,
But
they all exist in the same world, like
yeah,
almost like Shrek, like
well, yeah,
almost.
almost sure. Listen, if there's a fucking talking ogre in this game,
There's gonna be, there's gonna
this
be.
was such a cool thing, and it's important to note that was at the very least that was all in engine. I believe it's been confirmed that some of that was straight up gameplay.
Yeah, there's some of it that was confirmed gameplay
That is
from
wild.
Playground's Twitter
Yeah,
account. So
that is wild. And you can kind of see some of the scenes where the player character is facing the giant. That felt very like God of War-esque almost.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how cinematic it was being presented and whatnot. That it doesn't get much better than that to bring a classic franchise back in a brand new way. This is obviously we're gonna have to get our hands on it, but this looks really promising, and like it's how you do a legacy sequel.
Yeah, this was great. I'm really excited for Fable. I think it showed well. I think just the humor that they showed off, right, and some of
the British humor was great.
Yeah, like one of my favorite parts was when the protagonist, they were walking through that pub, and she just took the goblet off the guy's table and just chugged it and like just walked away. I don't know why that was so funny to me.
It's so irreverent, like the original Fable was. I feel like it's nailed the humor. Playground has really put a lot of love into this. You can feel it just from this like 3-minute snippet that we got. Just what a way to open the show, though. Like there's no date attached to the end, and we saw this with this and with the next game. There was no even year attached to it. I personally am choosing to believe this is targeting next fall, but they don't want to put a date on it until they're closer, because I think they learned their lesson with Starfield. Of putting a date on it too early causes a lot of pressure. This is a game that has had some ups and downs in development. Eidos Montreal is helping with developing it. I think they want to get a lot closer to the release before they say, yeah, we're ready. We're ready. And Phil, I think one of the things he's done really, really well is give the teams the time that they need. And that seemed to be a common theme today, is like you're seeing the result of him saying, take your time. We'd rather have good games than rushed games.
Yeah.
So, man, what a way to start off. This second game, though.
Oh my gosh, dude! I knew exactly. Like as soon as they put Compulsion on there, I was pumped, because we've been hearing about Project Midnight since what, Jez Corden kind of leaked it.
Yeah,
in 2021.
about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and they
spring.
Yeah, and they revealed South of Midnight, which is kind of like this Louisiana bayou kind of voodoo magic kind of game, modern day, it seems, or
so,
like at least
they are calling it a new third-person action adventure game set in a magical realist version of the American South. The game is set in a version of the modern world, but it is inspired by the interesting geological, topographical, cultural, societal, historical areas of the South. The settings you travel through will be almost exclusively rural, reflecting places in between major urban areas and the sense of wonder and danger they can hold. It springs from the concept that monsters are real, you just need to jump over the backyard fence. And that is a direct quote from creative director David Sears.
Yeah. This game looks cool. I like the art style. I like the kind of charm it seems to have, that southern kind of Bayou Charm. It kind of, like we're both Disney people. Like we watch
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog a little bit. Like it kind of reminds me of like a dark version of that a little bit, like that. When he's sitting there playing strumming the banjo on the.
I got a very like Devil Went Down to Georgia vibe out of this.
Yeah, super cool.
I really hope that that's one of the things in the game. Like, just I love Charlie Daniels. So,
Yeah,
man,
really into
it's
it.
just it's so cool. Like, there's a whole giant interview with David Sears and with one of the I think narrative directors over on Xbox Wire. But as they bring up the rich cultural mix of the area, including European, Caribbean, and African storytelling, has led to a unique oral tradition that the game draws on for its unusual menagerie. And it's based on David Sears' childhood in Mississippi and real life folklore. Blah, blah, blah. The supernatural threats are based on real life folklore from the Deep South. So
Mm-hmm.
that is, I think this is fascinating. Now, I live in Texas. I've spent a lot of time in Texas and Florida and, Georgia and Louisiana as a kid. This seems awesome.
Yeah, I'm
I
all for it.
love the graphical style of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I am very, very, very excited. It seems like music is going to be really important. There's a whole thing in here for music, and that it's an echo of what they want to do with the magic system. The musicality that's involved in traversal and combat is apparent.
Mm-hmm.
That excites me a lot. Man, everything about this, and this is such a long interview that they do. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, 100% in on this.
This is also very undated. This is one that I think probably is targeting early fall next year. But if this or Fable slipped to early 25, I would not be even a little surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But man, yeah, two for two to start this off from Xbox Game Studios.
2 for 2, or are we about to hit 3 for 3 to
I
open
think
the
we're about to
show?
hit 3 for 3, but this was the big third party announcement, I would say,
Oh yeah, by
which
far.
you and I guessed was going to be here.
Yeah, yeah, we did this on the
We threw
last
this out
expo
like kind
review.
of like nonchalantly, like, oh well, there's precedent for showing a big third party trailer and then it getting revealed at their own conference.
Yeah, I mean, we said either Star Wars or Avatar would be here. We thought
Yes.
Ubisoft would show at least one of them. So
Uh
I'm glad it was Star Wars because
Man.
oh my gosh. Yep.
I'm very excited to see Avatar, don't get me wrong, but to get the first look at Star Wars, what is it? What God, I'm forgetting the end of the name already. I did not write this. I just wrote down Star Wars with an
Outlaws.
exclamation point. Outlaws. I wanted to say Outriders for some reason, and I knew it wasn't that.
I mean, I would take
Uh
Star Wars Outriders too, but
this is really really awesome. It's a brand new character that is leading the charge. It's a game that is set between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The first ever open world Star Wars game. Explore new and iconic locations across the galaxy and risk it all as Kay Vess, an emerging scoundrel seeking freedom and the means to start a new life along with her companion Nyx. Fight, steal, and outwit crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted. If you're willing to take the risk, the galaxy is full of opportunity. I'm so excited to see the gameplay on this because one of the planets it looks like that you can go to is, first off, one of them looks like a planet from Rise of Skywalker.
mm-hmm.
Two, it looks like you're probably on Batuu from Galaxy's Edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both of those really exciting. There are clearly members of the Pike Syndicate, which we've seen in Solo. We've seen them in Book of Boba Fett. They are here. I would not be shocked to see Crimson Dawn tied in, or Black Sun, or like one of these other classic syndicates. And the developers have kind of hinted that there's going to be heists, which I don't know if you guys know this about me. The only thing I love in GTA Online is heisting. If I can do that in a Star Wars game, sign me up. The
Mm-hmm.
biggest revelation about this, though, is it is a single player game. We did not expect that from Massive.
I know. I thought this was going to be like a kind of like a co-op, like a division in
I'm
Star Wars in space.
I kind of wish it was, but at the same time, thank God.
I know. I'm so glad
Thank
it's not.
God. Thank
I'm
God.
so glad it's
There's
not.
no Jedi. There's no Force powers. this is a game that feels like it was tailor made for me. I love this part of the Star Wars canon.
Mm-hmm.
I was the kid who always wanted to be Han Solo and Boba Fett. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be them, but with a lightsaber. I didn't
Yeah.
actually want to be a Jedi or like a
Yeah.
Sith or anything. Like I thought that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan sucked. I wanted to be
Mhm.
Han Solo. Han Solo, he had a cool best friend. He gets the girl. He had the ship, and he dressed cool. Like I wanted to be Han Solo. He had like this cocky. Who doesn't want to be Harrison Ford, right?
Right.
So it's like if this is the closest I can get to that, fantastic. I would love to have made my own character, but I will take this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was cool. I'm really excited to see what Massive can do in a single player space. I also wonder what kind of tech they're going to use to get from planet to planet if it's open world, and like
Yeah.
if it's like if you can only explore certain areas of each planet, or like how you get to each planet. Is that like is that some sort of like what was that Starlink game that they did, or like the ship flying tech from the Beyond Good and Evil game that's never coming out, right?
Yeah, I really hope that that's something that they address in like 12 hours at this showcase.
Right.
By the time you're listening to this, we'll know. We'll hopefully have an answer. But they did.
Yeah.
This is 2024. You have to imagine this is probably fall 24.
Oh yeah.
They want to position this to be a massive holiday draw.
Pun intended.
Huh?
Ah.
I understood that reference.
Ah.
What do we got next, Corey?
All right, so Sarah Bond takes the stage and she's kind of talking about, kind of doing her whole opening thing, and we go into the indie game that they showed from. It's 33. Shoot, what's it called? 33.
33 Immortals. I am
Thank you.
so jazzed about this.
Yeah,
I was telling Ray, I was like, man, this like feels really Hades-esque. This is like a roguelike. And then we see that it's co-op, and we're like, okay. We're like, wait, there's 4 people on screen. And then like every time that the screen refreshed, there were more people. And then eventually there were 33 people. He was like, man, we're about to hear about a whole lot of Series S consoles taking flight after this. Because that is a lot. And this is where the real play it on Game Pass day one barrage begins.
Yeah.
This game is going to do bonkers numbers, and I fully expect this to be one of the most played games on Twitch.
What did the studio make? Thunder Lotus. What did they make before this?
Spiritfarer.
Oh,
which is an incredible game. If you guys have not played it, absolutely phenomenal. One of the best indie games of the decade. One of the most moving games I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my god, I could not believe this was their next game. I was like, oh my god, let's go. Yeah, I'll be playing a lot of this. I can't wait.
I really like the art style for this. I think it's very colorful. It's really flashy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of digging it, to be honest. I think it's cool.
Oh, I'm really digging it. Xbox tends to curate really interesting indies as part of their main showcases.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of those. And I think Sarah Bond noted this afterwards, that every indie studio that presented during the showcase has previously launched a game into Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So that was also like really cool to see.
Yeah. Looks cool. It's coming in 2024.
2024.
You can play it day one on Game Pass. Then they went into a very different type of game. Payday 3 is coming to Xbox. So
yeah, very happy this is coming to Game Pass. I was not going to pay money for a Payday. I've heard about the infamous horror stories about how it's not supported on console. They released it and it just left it broken. Yeah. But the people who like this game love this game.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to play it. I like Grand Theft Auto heists. I'm excited to heist with my friends, and I don't have to pay a dime to do it.
Yeah.
Cool. There was like a bank ninja. That was a very weird thing to see in this trailer.
A bank ninja.
That's seriously, like, we were like, damn, bank administrators have really stepped it up. They saw Free Guy and got carried away.
Yeah. Free Guy. Wow. I don't really have anything to say about Payday. I don't really care. No. But I mean, this had been leaked before that this was coming, but it's cool it's coming to Game Pass. I know that it has like a huge community on PC, at least the second one. So,
and it's coming to both PC and console Game Pass. So,
yeah. But then, Josh, this leads us into two huge announcements. The first one also leaked earlier this week, but Persona 3 Reload, the remake of the
Oh boy.
some people.
Whew.
So I think it looks great. I think it looks cool. Uh, but some people, some hardcore Persona fans, like they're really mad that the Fez stuff isn't in it or the portable stuff isn't in it. Um,
Yeah, and I want to speak to that really quickly. That because we weren't sure from seeing the leaked trailer if that was the case. We're like, oh, surely we'll get clarification on Sunday, and we didn't. The creative director had to put out a statement afterwards. That's how bad this is. When I say that the content from FES and Portable, which are the two previous re-releases of this game, are not in there, that's actually a really big blow. I suspect that the quality of life changes that Portable made will be in this, because otherwise I can't imagine trying to play Persona 3. It's clearly being built in the Persona 5 engine, but the problem with that is Portable also added the female MC route,
mhm,
which changes the entire game. It's
mhm.
literally a whole other game.
Yeah,
The entire outcome is totally different. That content is not here. I understand why people are upset about this.
mhm,
This is Atlas doing Atlas things. They finally give you what you want, but the monkey's paw is going to curl. I suspect that this will either be patched in or will be released as DLC at some point, or as Atlas likes to do, the complete edition a year or two down the line. The lead producer of this game, I want to make sure everybody understands this, was the producer of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which released its complete edition like 8 months after launch with
yeah,
10 more fighters. So if you have any idea what we're dealing with here, this is the guy.
yep,
Does not understand why people are upset about this, and I understand why everyone's upset. And I don't think that it's a consolation, but I will say that at least we have Portable on modern consoles right now.
yeah,
Um, but I do think that it's a complete disservice to the. I mean, you had the time to recast everybody. What you couldn't cast one more character and animate a little bit more. It cannot have been that much more work to have put that route in the game. You have to change some
yeah,
dialogue trees. You have to change. Obviously, most of the romances are different. The big question is, there's a character in this. I forget how to pronounce it. Aegis. I've never actually finished Persona 3, but the question is there confidant link in this? Because if not, that's probably going to cause a pretty big uprising amongst the community, and I don't blame them for it.
yeah,
Regardless, to see this revealed on an Xbox stage, leak or no leak, is a huge moment. If this
yeah,
had not been spoiled, my jaw would have been on the ground, Corey.
yeah,
I,
yeah. I mean,
I
so
yeah,
yeah, I mean, so that Sega leak happened a few months ago at this point. That kind of leaked Jet Set Radio,
yeah,
this another Persona game, which we'll get to later, which ended up being the Persona 5 Tactica, and then the uh, what was the other game that it leaked? It leaked something else. Crazy Taxi, I think, was the other one. But I mean, we kind of knew this was in the works, but yeah, like if this wasn't leaked by by Atlas themselves on their
oh my
Instagram,
god.
oh my gosh, dude, that guy, I feel so bad for that guy. He's probably fired.
He is their job. Their two associate brand manager jobs have been listed for Atlas, and I applied for them. I felt
but
like my
yeah,
resume should just say can hold NDAs.
I think I still think this was a huge moment for Xbox
Oh
in
yeah,
general, just because Persona's been so linked to PlayStation for so long,
yeah. I mean, like
and
you look at it, and when you think Japanese RPGs, you think PlayStation.
mhm,
Just because like that's where they always were. Like Xbox made a valiant attempt with the first Xbox and in the early years of the 360. Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey considered to be two incredible JRPGs. Like Lost Odyssey is considered among some hardcore fans to be the true successor to Final Fantasy's Legacy.
yeah,
And obviously nothing ever happened with those games after that. But
mhm,
regardless, like to see them finally get back to this, and Phil has said like this was a big point of his for years, trying to get back into the Japanese market, or at least get these games here for worldwide audiences. This is a big moment, and like he calls it out and was like, hey, we're thrilled that we got to show off and continue our partnership with Atlas
mhm,
in particular. That makes me think that, and this is conspiracy, Josh. This makes me think that when Persona 6 gets revealed, like later this year, or early next year, it's going to have Xbox brands on it.
Mm-hmm.
That it's
Yeah.
not going to be a day one Game Pass game, but it's going to have the marketing sponsored by Xbox.
Yeah, I think it's really cool
I think
that
that's like the logical end game here.
yeah, I think it's really cool that Sega is really like they're really seems like they're partnering with Xbox for a lot recently,
I think
and
Sega
it's
also saw the light when the fleet of Brinks trucks backed money up to port the Yakuza games over to Xbox.
oh,
So
I'm sure.
they'd never left PlayStation before, except maybe the PC. And then, like Dave even said, like the directors of the Yakuza series have even been like, listen, these games did really, really good on Game Pass. Like, because of that, like people care in the West. We're not as much of a niche franchise anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like a Dragon was huge when the new consoles came out.
Yeah, that game
So,
was massive.
well, absolutely massive. I remember it coming to Game Pass the next summer. They literally had a slot in the presentation in the 2021 showcase to say, "Like a Dragon's on Game Pass now. Here you go, and you can play the entire saga. Every Yakuza game is on here."
Yeah,
And feel like after that, Sega stepped in and was like, "Okay, Atlas, we know you do some weird stuff. Cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit. You're putting it on the Switch and Game Pass are sitting right there. That is a
yeah,
money machine for us.
right. Yeah.
Like
So
we're borderline doing pachinko machines over here now, man."
yeah, kudos to Sega, man. Kudos to
Kudos to
Sega.
Sega. But yeah, Persona 3 Reload. I'm terrified of when this is going to come out. It just says early 2024, which is the same time frame that I have for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Destiny: The Final Shape.
Yeah,
So I'm absolutely terrified.
yeah. Well, Josh. I mean, look,
3 games that are
you
going to
got to
take
do
like
what you got to do.
hundreds of hours of my life.
Red Bull exists for a reason, Josh. So
I need cloning
better start
technology to
investing.
come out. Oh my god.
uh, so after Persona 3 Reload, we finally got a pretty large chunk of Avowed.
This, as far as a game that is not Starfield goes, was my game of the show.
Yeah.
I am a huge Obsidian fan. I feel like I've made that clear over the years. I'm a very big Pillars of Eternity fan. And this is taking place in that same universe, completely different location than the previous 2 games. I saw Destin Legary kind of harping on this, being like, "Oh, this looks nothing like when it got announced 3 years ago." Like, no shit. That was
Yeah.
a concept, dude. You saw one shot of a hand and you're upset it doesn't look like that. Like, visions change, man.
Yeah. And I mean, we also kind of heard that it was going through some, like there was like a redirection of this game to a part, a little bit, they kind of got more ambitious. They wanted to make it a larger project,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, we'll get to this maybe when we get to either Hellblade or Starfield, but like the scope of the project is gonna. It doesn't matter how powerful these consoles are. Like if the game is getting bigger, you got to make some concessions somewhere. First of all, and second of all, I don't think this game looks bad at all. So
I want to read something. PC Gamer had an interview with the Avowed team and posted this just after the trailer. Avowed started as Obsidian's Skyrim, but evolved to focus on the depth over breadth, where Obsidian really shines. We backed up and said again, what are we good at? What's our lane? Um, you know, that originally we were pitching, in essence, our Skyrim, confirms Obsidian CEO Fergus Urquhart in an exclusive interview with PC Gamer. That is not what Avowed as it currently exists is going to be. I think over the course of time as we worked on it, Bethesda makes an awesome Skyrim. Mojang makes Minecraft. Turn 10 makes racing games. What we do is make our awesome RPGs, right? I really enjoyed this. Reading this for Avowed, the focus is going to be specifically on your companions and how their story relates to the driving narrative of the game. We could go off and create an 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer open world and then deal with all the consequences of that, because that makes it a different style game. But we want to tell more confined stories the player can experience with their companions and then move from part of the world to part of the world. And like I said, in the end, that's us.
this kind of seems like almost like an Outer Worlds version of this, right? I mean,
it very much they reference Outer Worlds in this. Carrie
mhm,
Patel, who is directing Avowed, I believe was the narrative director on Outer Worlds. I don't know if I have
mhm.
that correct, but I know she was
No, it was the second DLC that came out.
the second DLC. Yes, which is pretty beloved in the
Hmm.
Obsidian community. So very very excited reading about this. The upshot is that Avowed won't be as large, open, and freeform as an Elder Scrolls game, but maybe that's for the best. Given the enduring popularity of the studio's RPGs over the years, staying true to their spirit feels like a sensible choice. As we looked at the Avowed we're building, we wanted to make sure that we're really fulfilling those strengths and creating something that felt like a true Obsidian experience.
Yeah.
This just I'm so excited for this. The screenshots that are posted also on Xbox Wire look awesome.
Hmm.
Created an all new first person combat system. Play your way with a combination of swords, pistols, magic, and more. The Living Lands, which is set in the world of Eora, the same world Pillars of Eternity takes place in. This game looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks awesome.
It's set on an island. The Living Lands is an actual island in the
Mhm.
universe. So I like that like, oh, there's no invisible walls. It's like basically you see it, you can go there.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
this sounds just absolutely fantastic. I you can see what some of the enemies look like here. Just man, 2024. Uh I saw somebody trying to argue that, well, this doesn't look like a big AAA experience. The fuck kind of game were you looking at here? I'm sorry,
yeah,
like looking like God of War or Horizon Forbidden West is not a requirement to be a AAA game. It's not. AAA is
yeah,
stupid, first off. It's stupid terminology, but it's nomenclature that everyone uses. It's like that
yeah.
usually refers to the budget and the scope of like the team that's doing it.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, this is that in every single sense of the word. Something like Pentiment
Yeah,
is not.
yeah.
Something like Grounded
Yep.
is not. This is where the bulk of their team is. Not even Outer Worlds 2 is getting this. Outer Worlds 2 as a team that's like 2/3 the size of this, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So, I
I
mean,
thought this was phenomenal.
I'm really happy. Look, I'm really happy that Obsidian is getting their due, right? I mean, I feel like they've been playing second fiddle in the RPG community for a little while, like not in terms of like people not liking their
Mhm.
games or anything, but just like I feel like they've always been trying to play catch up to Bethesda in some way or another, or
Yeah.
BioWare or something. Like they've always been trying to do
Well,
uh something, and I'm glad, like, between the Outer Worlds and Grounded being really beloved, in the community, and Pentiment being that kind of,
Pentiment was arguably a Game of the Year contender. So
yeah,
it had the best writing of any game I played last year.
yeah. I'm glad Obsidian's really getting their due, right? So,
I'm happy that like this world specifically is getting its due because Pillars 1 and
hmm,
2, 1 was played a lot, 2, which I think is the better game, was overlooked.
hmm,
And Josh Sawyer has talked about the experience of trying to make those. He was the game director on Fallout New Vegas and then did the Pillars games. And he said it kind of killed his desire to work on the franchise anymore because of how he had to like cut things because they didn't have the funding and this and that to do the Pillars games. They were constantly going to Kickstarter and other avenues, and he's just like, yeah, I decided I want to make small games. So he went and made Pentiment after this. He was like, I have no involvement in Avowed. I wish them the best. I'm sure they consulted on him for the world, um, but he basically was like, yeah, I'm done. Like he was very frank about it like a month or two ago. He's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to making big RPGs again. I
hmm,
enjoy doing my thing. Like he made Pentiment with 10 people. So if a
yeah,
studio like Obsidian can do that, and he's like, I had the idea for Pentiment kicking around after Pillars 2 came out. When we first met with Microsoft and Phil was like, hey, I want to see what you guys are working on. He was like, he basically talked to me and was like, what are you doing? Like, you look at the directors at Obsidian, like Josh Sawyer's the most well known, like by far.
hmm,
And behind Fergus himself, who stepped into the CEO role. And he says, well, I've got this idea for this like medieval murder mystery game that is a scathing critique of the church in the 1600s Bavaria. And Phil was basically like, cool, we have a thing called Xbox Game Pass, make it.
yeah,
He was like, this game never would have gotten made. He's like, I never would have found a publisher for this thing
oh,
otherwise.
God
And
no.
he's like, I'm so happy that we get to have projects like that and grounded at our studio, but also expand to do things like the Outer Worlds, and we get to do DLCs for that because we have the funding. We get to do things like Avowed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we want. And like, this is kind of more of like a meta critique of Xbox as a whole. But you look at a lot of the studios that they acquired over the years, there was all sorts of screaming like, oh my God, they're buying up all these studios. You look at Compulsion, you look at In Exile, you look at Obsidian, you look at Double Fine. Those studios always, 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 always have struggled to get funding.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how beloved their games are, they've always struggled to get their funding. We would talk about it all the time. Tim Schafer has talked at length about how, yeah, I cut boss battles out of Psychonauts. And he's like, the first time Phil came and played, he's like, where the hell are the boss battles?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the boss battles in this game? You can't do this game without boss battles. And he's like, well, we don't have the budget. And Phil's like, how much money is it going to cost to put those in? He's like, another couple million. And he was like, that's it? You need like another $1 million to put that in? Here. Here. Delay the game and put them in.
Yeah.
So when I see things like that, I'm so happy that these teams are getting their due. And we see 3 of those 4 teams in this show finally showing what they're capable of doing without being budget constrained.
Right.
Even the Outer Worlds only got made because 2K's label, Private Division, stepped in to fund it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then they had, obviously, the Xbox purchase happened midway through development. And so you had the Game Pass bucks on top of that.
Right.
But
and that game turned out really well. I enjoyed
it. Turned out pretty good. I think really solid writing, interesting world. Excited to see how they build on it. It was very good for a first pass, and it was their first game of that size since New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Only the second in the studio's history, and I think that was pretty damn good. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. I think the gameplay looks fun. This world looks like it's going to be fun. I'm here. I'm here. This looks like it's going to scratch that Elder Scrolls itch that I have, even though it's definitely a different style of game. It's very clearly influenced by Bethesda.
Yeah, it's cool. I can't wait to see it coming to Game Pass sometime in 2024.
Yeah.
And that leads us into the next hilarious collaboration for Sea of Thieves. Oh my gosh, Josh, when I saw this, The Legend of Monkey Island is coming to Sea of Thieves.
Let me tell you about the up and down that I had seeing. I saw the Rare logo and I was like, oh my God, because I saw the green. I was like, oh my God, are we seeing Everwild? Are they really about to pull a fast one on me? Then I see the Lucasfilm logo. I was out of my chair, Corey. I was out of my chair going, no, there's no way. And Ray was like, oh my God, did they do a Star Wars or an Indiana Jones crossover in Sea of Thieves?
I know. My first thought was Star Wars.
And then it starts, and it was Monkey Island. And that was my second shriek of the day, was Monkey Island. Because that is a classic Lucasfilm game.
Yeah.
I also love that the Rare developers were going back through the Sea of Thieves Twitter account to everyone who ever tagged them in a Monkey Island tweet, being like, you guys should do a crossover. It's the only way I'm ever going to come play Sea of Thieves, and replying to every one of those people going with the teaser trailer going, hey, you going to play our game now? They did this to like 100 people today, and it was absolutely hilarious.
That's awesome.
This looks like such a fun collaboration. And Monkey Island just came to Game Pass.
I know. All of them, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Like, I have a hankering to go play this now. Like, I saw this, I was like, well, I never finished the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC. I guess I know what I'm doing at the end of July for a few weeks. I can't wait. And so that holds, like, in the next 2 years, what's the next Disney crossover they're doing? Like fucking Peter Pan? I would love to see One Piece. It's not a Disney property. I would love to see One Piece. That would send this game through the stratosphere if One Piece was a collaboration.
Yeah.
But no, this was really cool. We all knew Sea of Thieves was going to show up somehow. I thought it would just be a teaser for another season. Talk about the most unexpected things. Like the director of Monkey Island said, I was afraid to follow the Rare account because I didn't want people to think that we were collaborating. So he's like, I held off until we premiered the trailer, and then I hit follow on the Sea of Thieves account. I love it when people are like that, because that's true. Like, internet sleuths would have been like, oh, they're doing something. There was no indication this was going to happen.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was that truly an unexpected, like, what the fuck moment.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the surprises in this showcase. That was like,
I only had one that was bigger than this.
Yeah. All right, so after the Sea of Thieves crossover announcement, they went into a new flight simulator. Uh, it seems pretty ambitious, I would say.
This,
Flight
yeah,
Simulator 2024.
this is not for me, but and I was like kind of like snoozing during this. Ray was very excited because I was unaware that flight sim is actually used as a training program for a lot of
Hmm.
pilots.
Yeah,
And so seeing all these real world applications I thought was actually really cool when he started explaining that. I
yeah.
personally am excited for test vehicles and for air racing. Also
Are you
like
excited for the Dune crossover?
the Dune crossover looks wild. I'm gonna go to Araxis and fly one of those ships. Let's do it. This is the kind, like, I still haven't done the Halo Infinite one that they did last year. So
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty excited to try
Well,
some of these out.
they did the Top Gun one too, right? So
Yes, I believe they did a Top Gun Maverick one. I man, let's go. Let's go. This is the kind of game where like you can have the serious stuff and you can have the goofy shit too.
yeah.
It's like when we get some of the fictional cars, like the Warthog and like Johnny's car from Cyberpunk in Forza Horizon.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you got Jen Taylor narrating the Warthog run with the Halo music blaring.
I know,
Like
that's so cool.
that stuff is so cool. Like I love that they are tapping into those franchises, doing like little things like this because like, oh, it's a way that like, well, we want to show you our big update, but here's something really fun for everyone who doesn't care about the serious stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Didn't know Flight Simulator 2024 was going to be a thing, but it is. So
Yeah.
okay,
Nope.
awesome.
Nope.
That
I,
that game is going to do bonkers on PC.
yeah. I'm shocked that they're putting on another one so quickly.
I was very
Uh,
surprised that this was the only like PC centric game that we got though. I
yeah.
very much expected to see Age of Empires and Ara here. I
Hmm.
think they're at Showcase Extended on Tuesday, but though that's
Yeah.
for later. That's for later.
That's
Hit
for
me,
later.
hit
You know
me with
what's
that
now though,
next one.
Josh? You know what's now, Josh? My number one game of the showcase.
Hit me,
Not that they showed anything like really extensive,
hit
but
me.
Senua's Saga,
Oh
Hellblade 2.
man,
Oh my gosh,
this
this game.
game looks insane.
Oh my gosh.
In
So
terms of like graphical fidelity and like audio work, I think our friend Ray said this. This is right. They are Kojima's only rival in this space right now. Ninja
oh
Theory
my
is.
gosh. Yeah. I want to say like with how good this game looks, right? And with like the graphical fidelity and everything, I do kind of want to temper people's expectations that I think this
Yes.
really is going to follow the same lines as the first game. It's
Yes.
not going to be your open world, exploration horizon equivalent. It's not going to be your God of War equivalent, right? It's going to be that 12 to 15 hour experience, the same way
Yeah.
that the first one was that 6 to 8 hour
Well,
experience.
and it's like I saw one of the critiques I was seeing was like, I would have liked to have seen more gameplay from this, and I'm like, what gameplay? Her walking in a fucking circle? Like, what do you want to see? This is a
Yeah.
hard game to demo. We got they basically said Ninja Theory essentially said during this like you got gameplay at the Game Awards a couple years
Yeah.
ago. This
Yeah.
is our cinematics, and Melina Juergens confirmed that they are done with mocap. Mocap is done.
Hmm.
That is the biggest sign that this game is almost done.
Yeah. I'm thinking
This
Q1 or
has to be
Q2
like a
next year.
February release,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I
which
was thinking.
adds
Like,
another wrinkle to my already completely packed spring.
yeah.
But I'm
But
here for it.
at least this game will be short, Josh.
That's true, but it'll probably take me multiple days because it's so emotionally heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not great to play if you're currently in therapy.
Yeah, I just want to say that part where she's looking in the puddle and then it turns the glass and she falls through it and like this game just, oh my gosh, this game looks incredible. And then like the ending when they show the title card and all those hands are kind of like holding her face like
Mm-hmm.
to represent all the different kind of, you know, voices and personalities she's hearing. Like, so good. It is so good. And then we we go from that super serious trailer to this super silly like a dragon infinite, what's it called, infinite shoot, the Yakuza 8 they showed
Yeah,
off.
it's essentially Yakuza 8. They have rebranded the series, so it's Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yeah.
Man, Ichiban is in he's in
He's
America.
yeah.
and has no pants.
Yeah. They really hammered that part home, right? There he has no pants on.
I thought this was really goofy, but it was perfectly in line with the tone of those games.
Yeah.
That again, another big get for them. There is a live stream happening from this developer, presumably to show this and the spin-off game that was revealed at Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
But still, really cool. I mean, again, like we've said this like 3 times already. Never thought I'd see a game like this debut on Xbox's stage.
Yeah. Super cool. The last one was pretty beloved, right? So
yeah. I mean, a lot of people think it's best in the series. So
yeah. So that's cool. And then we went into kind of the Fallout 76 updates, right? Like
they fucking got me here. I saw the vault and everything, and I was like, oh my god, are we getting a secret Fallout game? Like, I thought maybe like another Fallout shelter or something. Nope, Fallout 76. And the funny part is,
City, Josh.
Ray had just tweeted out, oops, all bangers, right before this. Maybe 90 seconds before this trailer. And he had to go back and go, almost all bangers.
Yeah, but I mean, look, there's a pretty big community with
there is, but nothing
now.
sucked the wind out of the sails for me more than and I know they have to show these because there is an ESO expansion coming up. It's already out on PC. It's coming to Xbox next week.
Here,
nothing took the sails out like this in ESO and Overwatch. All of those in a row took the sail out, took the wind out.
Here's the thing. I think what Xbox should do for these live service games is either have like a pre-show kind of let's go over this, or do it at their showcase extended and have like a little bit of a 15-minute montage. Okay, here's Elder Scrolls update, here's Fallout 76, here's a new season for Halo.
I will say this, I think that things like ESO, because ESO does have such a massive player base, updates to things like ESO and Sea of Thieves, like Sea of Thieves is one of the most played games on Game Pass, like those should be a part of your presentation. And I think like if you have a healthy rotation of your live service games, like Grounded and Halo weren't there this year, I'm sure they'll be there at another event or showcase extended,
which is weird because I would have thought you would have at least put a trailer for Halo in there because season 4 starts in like a week and a half.
Yeah, I thought that too, and with Infection coming back I thought for sure there would be one, but at the same time, like I think it might have been for the better that it wasn't there. I'm gonna be completely honest. So dude, what did we have after 76? We had something between this and ESO.
Yeah, so Capcom showed this
this felt like really shoehorned into this this segment. It felt like it should have come before or after.
Dude, when they started showing this stuff,
did you also Onimusha?
Yes. I tweeted it out. I was like, is this Onimusha? I was like, is this Onimusha?
We still weren't convinced until we saw the title.
Yeah.
But new IP from Capcom, it's shown on Xbox's stage with Capcom and Sony are like these days. And it's going to launch straight into Game Pass.
Yeah.
Just wild. That guarantees I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I mean it looks pretty cool though. I mean it looks pretty good. I mean the action looks cool. It looks fast. It looks fluid. And then they showed off Forza again, which honestly looks incredible. But then there was what was it? I think maybe it might have been the pre-show or something. But there were cars on stage for Forza at some point. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I think it was the pre-show.
No, it was during the show.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. I knew there were cars
was all
somewhere.
pre-recorded. So
that's right. Here it is. Yeah, here it is. It was man, that I'm just like, oh my gosh. I understand that they have to do this to make their partners happy and stuff, but I'm so tired of seeing cars on stage. Oh man. But I'm shocked it wasn't a Porsche, because I mean, I know these are the cover cars, but because they were doing that whole Porsche 75th anniversary console thing, and they didn't show a new console, which I'm shocked, at least for the Porsche special editions.
Yeah, the special editions that there's only like 75 of them in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay, Forza.
Yeah. Looks cool though.
So glad they didn't spend more than like a minute and a half here.
Yeah, but I mean, they did that whole deep dive during the developer direct earlier this year.
They did, and they're doing they're doing their own. They're not even part of the Showcase Extended. They're doing their own live stream this week to
Yeah,
show career.
which is great because I think Xbox understands that car people are car people, and only people that play Forza want their own. I mean, like
I'm gonna be real.
normies like you and me don't care about the ins and outs of Forza. Like we'll race the cars,
This
but
has been their problem for years and years and years, is that they always spend too much time on Forza. I mean, the 2021 showcase was great, but we spent 10 minutes on Forza Horizon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
that we didn't need that.
Yeah.
We just didn't. We didn't need that. It's Forza Horizon 5. It's in Mexico. Awesome. I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh God. Like what else did we get here? We got what's
Well,
next?
the ESO Online update, the
Cool.
Necrom Shadow over Morrowind was shown off.
Cool. Glad
Cool.
for all of you who like ESO out there.
Yeah, and then we got the the weird Overwatch reveal.
There's just enough
man.
time to cancel this before it comes out.
Look, man, I was like, man, aren't they all, like, it was weird because I'm like, okay, they showed off a new game mode, but I'm like, aren't all these characters already out because they're selling the starter pack or whatever? I'm like, aren't these characters already part of the game? And I'm like, oh, well, I forgot that it's technically not in 1.0 yet, Overwatch 2. And so I wonder if August is going to be their 1.0, even though they've already started seasons.
Man, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I could not care less. I tuned out. I saw Overwatch. I stopped paying attention.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm one of the people who like really liked Overwatch when it 1st came out and played a lot of it. But like, I've fallen so far off of Overwatch, and I'm like, I don't really care, really. It's cool for people who like Overwatch. I'm glad that, whatever. I know that there's a lot of issues with this game, kind of, the PvP or the PvE stuff getting canceled and stuff, but whatever. It's cool. Great. Also, I thought this was going to lead into them announcing that they had finalized the acquisition of Activision Blizzard at some point, but it didn't. So
no, that won't come until end of July at the best.
Yeah. Then we got then we got a Starfield trailer, like just like a basic trailer for Starfield.
I got really annoyed at this. I'm going to be honest.
I did too. I'm like,
why are we getting a 3-minute trailer when we have a at least 30-minute presentation coming up on this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to break these out separately on YouTube, right?
Which, I mean, it's what they did. And it's funny because it's one of the best trailers I've ever seen for a game.
Yeah.
And then we got it followed up by another 45 minutes of the same game.
Yeah. It was weird. I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. It was pretty weird. But after that, we got that new game from Dontnod, Jusant, I think is how you say
I was pretty stoked to see this.
Yeah, I was like, it's giving me kind of like Zelda meets Uncharted vibes.
Who the fuck is living in this village is what I want to know.
Yeah.
I thought this looked really cool. Yeah, this looked really cool. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Rhyme too, Tequila Works game.
And it's Dontnod, so I expect good storytelling out of it.
Yeah. So it seems really cool. So I don't know if you have any more to say on that, Josh.
No, I think it looks really cool. I don't really know much about it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. Day 1 Game Pass later this year.
Yeah, and then we got a small trailer for Still Wakes the Deep from the Chinese Room.
This game looks and sounds really freaky.
Yeah.
I probably won't be playing it, but it sounds very Alien Isolation-esque.
Yeah, it looks pretty
1975.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be playing that or not.
No, I'll watch people play it. I personally will not.
Yeah. So after this really scary trailer, we got this really colorful kind of action comic booky action game called Dungeons of Hindenburg from Microbird.
This looks great.
Yeah, it looks really cool. The combat looks fun.
This was made by a 2-person husband and wife team.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like the art style. I like the combat actually a lot. Looks really cool. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, I'm digging it. Again, Game Pass. I don't remember. Is this year or next year?
Hold on. I just had the title screen up. I think it's this fall. Hold on. Let me. Let's see. It doesn't say. It does coming 2024. So it'll be sometime next year. So looks pretty cool. That led us into the Phantom Liberty trailer.
Oh my
Josh,
god, I'm so excited for this.
man,
Keanu was back.
yeah, he is, and he's super Keanu-y in this
Dude,
entire presentation.
he's just so happy to be here.
Yeah, man, you gotta give it to Keanu Reeves, man. He's always like he's the man. I don't, he's awesome. This trailer was cool. They showed off obviously Idris Elba's character for the first time. It kind of has this Escape from New York vibe to it. It seems cool, man. It made me want to go back and actually like play Cyberpunk again.
Yeah,
So
I really like this. I'm gonna play it. It's really unfortunate that it's coming out at the end of September, though.
I know.
It's coming out September 26th because I don't know if you heard this, but within a week and a half at the end of August, we are getting Armored Core 6, Baldur's
Yep.
Gate 3,
Yep.
Starfield, and a new Destiny raid.
Yep.
So my September is booked. This is unfortunately something like I think $30 is a pretty fair price point for this also.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to playing this, but there is almost no way that I'm going to get to this on day one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it won't be anytime soon.
No, I'm very excited though. I 100%ed the original game. I got every ending. I did all the achievements. I did every single side quest and collectible you could do. I'm stoked for this.
Yeah, it looks cool. I wonder if they're going to address V's kind of death sentence. I wonder if that's kind of where they're going, because they address it a little bit at the beginning of the trailer, and then they kind of just go in and blow stuff up and do that. They don't really address the rest of it. Obviously, they probably want you to play it, but
yeah,
super cool,
super cool,
digging it. And then they went into the City Skylines 2 trailer.
I have a friend who is he was obsessed with the first one. This was his one takeaway from this show, is that he saw people tweeting about it on Twitter, and he was like, "You didn't tell me they were making a City Skyline 2?" He plays so few video games, and he was so excited to hear they were making another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, hey, for those of you who are really excited, I mean, this is a full price game too. This is not launching as $20. This is a $50 game. And it's launching straight into Game Pass for both PC and console. Probably won't be that big on console. It's going to be mega big on PC.
Yeah, it's going to be huge on PC.
Yeah, it could be huge. So kudos to them. That's the kind of, like, again, that's diversifying your indies lineup and your Game Pass lineup. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely it is. Especially for PC. Like you said, this is going to be huge there. And
I may fool around with this. I've been yearning for Sim City. So I may have to play. If I can put volcanoes into this, I'm playing it.
Volcanoes confirmed. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. You know what was next though, Josh? We touched on a little bit ago. But the next game from the Persona team was shown. Metaphor, Ray Fantasio is what it's called. So great naming, but it looks like a Shin Megami Tensei game. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. So when I first saw this, I was like, I actually said out loud, I was like, "Is this Shin Megami Tensei 6?"
Yeah.
I even asked Ray, I was like, "Is this possibly 5? Like, is 5 getting ported over?" And he was like, "No, this is a totally new game." This I was talking with Austin. He said this was his biggest surprise of the show, and I have to agree. This was besides Monkey Island, this is absolutely the biggest surprise of the show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This looks awesome. This is not a Game Pass game. Sad trombone, but I am very excited to play this. I loved Royale. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Same with Persona 4 Golden. This and Reload are at the top of my list for next year right now.
Yep. Yeah, it looks super cool. The art style kind of reminds me of Fire Emblem Three Houses, actually, a little bit.
Yeah, honestly. I actually, if they wouldn't have told me up front that it was from Atlas, I would have thought like Platinum Games, maybe.
Yeah. So that was cool.
We had a third game from Atlas. I don't know if this is later in the show.
It's later. It is
later. Is it really?
Okay. It's a little bit later,
so
yeah.
I thought I had these reversed in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was it? Did I skip it on accident? Maybe I skipped it. I'm kind of going through just kind of going through everything. But So Towerborn from Stoic, which was the Banner Saga trilogy studio.
Yes, this was Project Belfry for anybody who was keeping up with the Jez Corden rumors for the last couple years.
Yeah, it looks really cool,
I'm
man.
so in on this. I'm so excited. The 4-player co-op, I'm very here for. I love
Oh,
the art style. This looks like something I'm gonna fall in love with immediately.
yeah. You know what, Josh? I did skip it. It was they showed the Persona 5 Tactica after the Overwatch stuff.
That's okay. I kind of wanted to skip
So
it a little bit too.
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm happy that it's coming to Game Pass. Less jazzed that it's a $60 game,
Hmm.
and that it's a spinoff that's very much in the vein of the 3DS games, the Persona Q series. This
Yeah.
feels like something that probably should have been retooled for mobile, but
Yeah.
I like tactics games, so I'm actually kind of excited to see how Persona adapts to this. And you know what? Hey, if I don't like it, I get to delete it, and I didn't pay any money for it.
Hmm.
I just really hope that Atlas doesn't look at this and be like, "Oh, well, they didn't like this. They're never getting another Persona game again." Just give us Persona 5 Strikers. That's all we want. That's all we want.
Uh,
I am very excited about.
the final game they showed off before
Well,
Starfield.
I wanted to touch on Towerborn real fast.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's touch on
Really,
Towerborn.
really excited about this. The oh god, who is it? Lead game designer talked about this with Xbox Wire, and he says we all love and are inspired by classic beat 'em up games, and we wanted to make one with persistence, where we can continue to expand the features and the gameplay modes for as long as possible. I am very excited for this. Towerborn is a seasonal game, and the team plans to consistently add new things to do over time. There's also an overarching storyline which the studio wants to keep close to its chest for now. Stoic aims to create organic updates that really feel like they're helping shape Towerborn's narrative. The premise we've created revolves around how you can do a seasonal game that doesn't feel artificial. How can you make a story where the content updates and the changes that happen to the gameplay feel like they're intertwined with the world? I'm not super jazzed to hear that, frankly. Um, but I'm curious to see their take on it because this is a really, really good studio. Um, I like it. They say we wanted a world where players are actively exploring and opening up new parts, as opposed to one that feels like you're just opening a UI menu and thumbing through for the next mission. That was a key element to us not wanting to do the standard MMO like trope of going into town, 10 people have something to tell you, you take a bunch of quests. Towerborn comes from the opposite direction. You're going out and discovering things, and the world responds to what you are doing and acknowledges the players.
Hmm.
This is exciting to me. There's a whole bunch in here about the combat. Easy to start, fun to master. Skill floor is really low, but the skill ceiling is really high. Easy to understand controls. I think this is going to be a huge hit on cloud gaming, personally.
Hmm.
So I'm very excited to actually get to play this game. I like the art style of it. I think it looks really, really fun. Um, yeah, I'm jazzed. I've been really looking forward to this for a while now. Just what we were hearing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks cool. I will definitely check it out uh, when it comes to Game Pass. Another 2024 game. 2024
Yeah,
really shaping up to be a
I was pretty sure this was going to be a 2023 title, but if it's going to be a seasonal based game, I could definitely see this launching in the summer. Like, I could see this after next year's showcase being like, play it now,
yeah.
play it today.
Yeah. All right, Josh.
Is
We're
this our
gonna get
final? Is this our final reveal before Starfield?
yes, this is the
Okay.
final one before Starfield.
Oh, I'm so ready.
This game. So we've been talking about an Exiles rumored RPG for a while, right? You
Mhm.
and I have at least either on Tower Casuals or privately or whatever.
Yeah,
They revealed it. It looks very the aesthetic looks very BioShock meets Outer Worlds, steampunk kind
yeah.
of
I
it's
I
so
personally thought Bioshock meets. Sorry to interrupt you. I thought Bioshock meets Dishonored was my first thought.
yeah, that too. Yeah. So In Exile revealed Clockwork Revolution. Uh dude, the way that they were playing through this game, I'm like, okay, this looks pretty cool. But I'm like, I almost thought it would almost be a little bit disappointing if they went and made the same type of game just with a different aesthetic as like the Outer Worlds or something. But
Yeah,
then they started showing the time mechanics and they started showing the world rebuild itself or change and the way that the characters were reacting to different changes and how they were saying don't play with time. Like this game looks incredible. This game looks awesome.
Yeah, so I want to read a little bit from Xbox Wire on this. Uh, It's a fantastical first-person action RPG with time-bending combat, deep interconnected role-playing systems, and the ability to create your own unique character from the ground up. It takes place in the vibrant Victoria-era metropolis of Avalon, where steam trains fly overhead, wealthy industrialists replace their limbs with ornate clockwork prosthetics, and mechanical servants fulfill their master's every whim. This new age of wonders holds a dark secret. It's been carefully constructed by the ruthless Lady Ironwood. Through use of a time travel device, she's changed key moments in Avalon's history, keeping the working class struggling in the slums and factories while bringing herself immense wealth and power. And that's where you come in. You use the chronometer to travel back in time, choose how to influence the past, and then return to the present to experience the effects of your decisions. Through unprecedented and complex visual and narrative depth, the choices you make on your trips into the past will change the people, stories, and the city of Avalon itself in extraordinary and very often unexpected ways. It pushes role playing reactivity to new heights, infused with unique texture and personality you've come to expect from In Exile's games. We're still early in development, but hope you enjoyed the pre alpha sneak peek. We look forward to sharing more in due time.
This is, dude, there is so much going on
This
in terms
looks
of,
awesome for pre alpha.
yeah, dude. There was a shot where there was like this broken bridge, right? And like you couldn't get through, and all of a sudden the time rewound and it like rebuilt the bridge in real time.
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, that is cool. That
This
is,
was very impressive.
yeah, it was super impressive. I love the aesthetic. I like when games play with time and the
Mhm.
fact that you can kind of change time in real time. It looks like, in different ways. Oh man, it looks so cool. Loved it.
This very much also feels like it's maybe the only game we saw that's guaranteed to be 2025.
Yeah.
We got this teased there. I mean, that's gameplay that we saw too.
Hmm.
And it shows that in pre-alpha. To me, indicates we're probably a year and a half out from release, maybe a little bit more, because pre-alpha
Yeah.
can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
And them being really coy, saying in due time, to me indicates that it's the furthest out of anything that we saw today.
Yeah.
But we saw gameplay and everything was in engine. This,
Hmm.
if this is pre-alpha, I'm excited to see what this looks like when it actually comes out.
Yeah.
And now it plays,
Plus,
because the time traveling mechanic's going to be everything. If that's not done well, it's not going to be a good game, no matter how good your narrative is.
right. Plus, like, I mean, until this comes out, we have Fable coming, we have Avowed coming, we have Starfield, right? I mean, we're gonna have a major Western RPG every year for the next like 4 or 5 years at least. If you
Yeah,
take into consideration the Outer Worlds somewhere in there, Outer Worlds 2 somewhere in there, like, I mean, they can take all the time they need on this game. Seriously, this is gonna be,
right. I do think this is probably the furthest out of any game other than like Perfect Dark that Xbox is currently making.
yeah,
Um, and I'm excited. Like, we had heard the rumors about this game, and that supposedly like it excited Brian Fargo so much that when they pitched this to Matt Booty, Matt Booty
hmm,
supposedly got a minute into their presentation and said, "Cool, make it."
hmm,
As the legend goes, and Brian Fargo, the studio head at In Exile, was so excited that this game got greenlit that he decided not to retire.
yeah,
That he was going to after the In Exile, after the purchase by Microsoft, he was just going to retire this and that, because for those who don't know, Brian Fargo was one of the original creators of Fallout,
yeah,
and he made Wasteland before that. Fallout is very much spun off of Wasteland, so I mean he's been making games since the '80s.
yeah,
My man is tired.
yeah,
But it's very funny that all three studios that made Fallout are now under the Xbox roof, all making very unique looking RPGs that, in their respective years, may very well all be Game of the Year contenders.
hmm,
That is just wild. Ryan McCaffrey was breaking this down earlier, and he was like, "We got Starfield this year, Fable possibly next year, or Avowed next year, Fable probably in 2025." He seems to think this is a 2026 game, and I think that's ludicrous. I don't think there's any way this is a 2026 game unless it runs into massive problems.
yeah,
Um, and somebody was like, you got to throw Outer Worlds 2 in there somewhere too, my guy. Not to mention if anybody does anything smaller. So,
right,
man, Microsoft really made the case today. Hey, if you like RPGs, you need to be in the Xbox ecosystem, whether it's here or on Steam, you got to be there.
Yeah, so many people message me about like Xboxes today after this
Mhm.
showcase. I'm like, that's what I've been trying to tell you for like the last, I don't know, 10 years, like,
Only notable RPGs that they will be missing at this point. It seems like they're destined to not have Square RPGs anymore.
yeah,
They are missing, so they're missing Final Fantasy, the biggest name in RPGs.
yeah,
And as of right now, we'll not be getting Baldur's Gate 3 because they cannot get Larian is having problems getting co-op to run correctly on Series S.
yeah,
So outside of that, I mean, you look at Western RPG studios, pretty much all of them except for CD Projekt Red and Larian fall under Xbox now at this point.
yeah,
And that's because
yeah,
they were all struggling.
yeah,
Even Bethesda was looking for a buyer both pre and post 76.
yeah,
So, and then, I mean, in terms of Japanese developers, I mean, they've got the partnership going with Sega now. They basically looked at it and says, well, we can't compete with the money that's been backed up to Square. Why,
yeah,
and why would we?
yeah,
They would face, you would face such an outcry if you tried to make a Final Fantasy game exclusive to Xbox or a Persona game exclusive. So why not just go secure the Game Pass rights for these series?
yeah,
Because that's the thing is, like, I saw people trying to like replicate like the, oh well, all these games shown are going to come to PlayStation, and it's like, yeah, that's great that you can do that. The problem is that's not an effective graphic because everything you put there, with the exception of maybe 2 games, are all on Game Pass, which is the
yeah,
same price as PS Plus. It's actually cheaper than PS Plus.
yeah,
So your argument holds no weight,
yeah.
none.
It's pretty wild. The
But
fact that, I mean, also like, I think almost until until maybe the Final Fantasy VII remake, I almost think that people preferred Atlas RPGs over Square at that point, right? I mean, because they hadn't really turned around yet. So, uh, not that that makes it any better or worse than not have Square, but like, I still think Atlas is still a pretty decent get for them.
I mean,
So,
it's great. It's a great partnership to be into, and I mean, hey, like if that continues with them and with the like Dragon Studio, then man,
yeah,
what a great corner to be in. But
yeah.
if we're gonna talk things that were nutty, Corey,
Yeah. So be, before we go into
hit me,
the
hit me.
Starfield stuff, do we want to talk about things that we kind of thought might be shown or wanted to see and didn't see, or anything that we didn't,
Yeah.
or
So I solicited a little bit of feedback from some people on Twitter
yeah.
as to their thoughts on this. I want to get those pulled up for us real fast. Um, Michael Ratliff wrote in. Shout out to Mike, by the way. Mike, if you're listening to this, Mike has been listening to stuff I've been putting out since my very first podcast. We
Oh wow.
met in we met in the Podcast Unlocked group on Facebook
Oh jeez.
like a decade ago, and
Yeah.
he was one of the earliest listeners on my pod when we were promoting it in there. We still interact on Twitter from time to time. Shout out Mike. I told him earlier I really appreciate his support over the years, but he wrote into me. I asked a couple hypothetical questions on Twitter. He goes, my favorite game shown was Clockwork Revolution, biggest surprise, Star Wars Outlaws. And then I asked, was there anything that we were expecting that wasn't there? And he says, the Age of Mythology Retold and the Fable Remaster collection. But he's like, that's definitely more of a pipe dream than expectation. Definitely a well-deserved W for Xbox. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
Age of Mythology, I already said like Age of Empires and all that. A little surprising it wasn't there. I think it's there on Tuesday. I think that's Showcase
Hmm.
because they said they have games to announce at
Yeah.
Showcase Extended. I
Hmm.
gotta think that's what these are.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that point, like, I'm shocked that we didn't see anything from Machine Games or id, really, but also QuakeCon. I wonder if
Yep,
they're saving those
yep,
announcements for
yep.
QuakeCon.
I have an absolute conspiracy theory that I think
Hmm.
that Quake is being saved for QuakeCon. It's the first QuakeCon in person in years.
Yeah.
So I have that conspiracy theory. Austin Campbell also wrote in and says, Starfield was always going to be my favorite game shown, but the Atlas's new RPG was my oh shit moment. He told me he's watched this trailer like 5 times already.
Yeah. It's pretty
Um,
it's a
and
pretty
then
good one.
he actually asked that he asked us a question that we can answer. Do you think Avowed will be bigger than the Outer Worlds as a franchise? Yes,
Yeah, probably. I would
yes,
I
hundred
would say
percent.
so. Yeah.
100%. How I was comparing this when I don't remember if I was talking to Austin or if it was a different friend I was talking to. I compared this to how Elder Scrolls started out with, two kind of like under the radar RPGs with Arena and Daggerfall, and then
Hmm.
Morrowind is where it burst into the mainstream because it was such a different game than the other
Hmm.
two. And I
Yeah.
was like, I think that's how people are going to see Avowed. I think Avowed could be the Pillars of Eternity franchise's Morrowind moment, and if
Hmm.
it is, that bodes extremely well for all of us.
Yeah.
Outer
Yeah.
Worlds is very much like Fallout in space, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, and I think the writing and the characters are great. I just really didn't like the planets. I didn't like the exploration
Yeah.
personally. I felt like it probably needed like another. I mean, honestly, probably the DLC should have been part of the main game. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I wonder if that was like a budgeting constraint before the Microsoft
Oh,
purchase.
it
And
had to have been.
you know,
I would say it had to be.
I would say the Outer Worlds 2 will probably be a more fully realized vision
Yes,
of what they wanted, right? So, um, but
I
yeah,
I would agree with that.
I mean the id stuff and the machine game stuff, right? Like QuakeCon, I am a little shocked that they ended on the Series S announcement and
So
not a
this was the
game.
most baffling thing to me. Like
Doubling down
as
on the
Ray
Series
Apollo
S,
put
huh?
it, who is still buying a Series S right now?
Yeah, I mean, so
I
okay, so I can answer that question actually.
you.
My no, not me. But so my nephews are actually
Mhm.
one nephew just got a Series S, and my other nephew wants one, and I don't know if they're going to get one for him or not. I haven't gotten that far in the conversation with them because
Right.
he's still playing on a base Xbox One. So uh they're, working on the upgrade thing right now, but like the Series S is perfect for them because like they'll play Minecraft and Fortnite, and my older nephew plays some, like, he thought Starfield looked pretty interesting, and I
Mhm.
told him like, well, you're only going to be able to play it on this console, and I was like trying to explain to them the difference
Yeah.
between the consoles and why it's not coming to Xbox One and all that kind of stuff. But like it's for kids, right? Like the S
Yeah.
is for kids.
So I'll say this. Phil said afterwards that most of the new Xbox adopters to the ecosystem this generation have been Xbox One S owners or Xbox
Hmm.
Series S owners, excuse me.
Hmm.
So, like, I guess it makes sense from that, but I just thought, maybe I genuinely thought that we were going to get the announcement of a digital only Series X because I'm sorry, the problems like we're seeing that Larian is having with Baldur's Gate are going to get worse as the generation goes on.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
I
these games
agree.
become bigger and more expansive, it's going to be a problem. I think right now it's really good to have as a streaming box, or like we use ours in the bedroom as
Hmm.
a streaming box. My girlfriend plays on it. She plays so few games
Yeah.
these days, but it's
I,
really good for those who like want it as a Game Pass machine or into indies.
yeah. I so some of the people I was talking to today, that I mean, their primary place to play is PlayStation, right? But they
Yeah,
saw this, and I'm like, if you're gonna play first party games on this thing, and that's gonna be your primary use for this thing is like first party and Game Pass stuff, then yeah, the Series S is probably enough because Microsoft's gonna make sure all those games are optimized for the Series S, right? But if you're planning on playing like anything third party, like I don't know if I mean you and I are both lucky enough to have both consoles,
yeah.
right? So we can kind of actually see the differences, right? But like I tried to play Guardians of the Galaxy on Series S, and it ran like trash that first month, you know. Uh, and then you turn around and play it on Series X. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I own a Series X over, primarily over the Series S. But I think,
Yeah.
if you're gonna play, if you're gonna play Fortnite and Destiny, those both run really well on it, right? Or like first party games, then the Series S I think is okay if it's not your primary console, but like if you can, get a Series X, that's the box. That's the box you want.
I think
And
the other
like
thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and like you said, like this third party problem, especially what Larian's having to do is like that's gonna get worse over time because that Series S is not very powerful.
I genuinely think it would have just been a smarter move to have made a digital Series X
Uh
and
huh.
keep the same sized hard drive
Hmm.
and put it out at the same price of the PS5.
Yeah.
Like, I
Or
see no reason.
They could have cut it down to 350 if
I
they
mean, if
wanted
you
to
were going to
lose
cut it to
money.
350, you needed to cut the Series X too, because there's no way you can tell me that a disc drive is worth $150.
Yeah,
That would be my only takeaway from that. Also, like, I'm sorry, your flagship console needs more storage space in it.
I know.
Just straight up. So that's my only gripe with that. The last comment that I had was Aaron Morris wrote in and was asking if we thought that this was if we thought that Clockwork Revolution had a very Bioshock feel to it. Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. He was like, it looks great. I get the impression that was Aaron's favorite game that was shown, um, which knowing
Yeah.
him makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, man, are we ready? Are we finally ready?
Yeah, I think we should because I feel like we're going to spend another long time talking about Starfield. Uh, although I do want to say one thing.
I'll keep it as concise and short as I can.
I don't care. I don't care how long we
I
go.
well, I mean, there's not a lot that I can say that hasn't already been said, frankly.
Yeah,
Um,
I just I mean, like I said earlier, I think this showcase, this direct really got me. I think this game, you know, when it was first announced, I was in like really when it was first announced. Oh, okay, Fallout in space. Okay, everybody
mhm.
gets it. We get the point. But this game is so much more ambitious than just an Elder Scrolls or Fallout in space. Right. This game is this game. You're gonna live in this game for years, right, and still not see
They're
everything.
already announcing story expansions.
Yeah. So I mean, this it looks the various biomes that they showed off, the various planets, the moons, the space combat, the flying.
Hmm.
This game looks like No Man's Sky took steroids and ate the Hulk pretty much.
Became
Like this,
fun.
yeah, it's incredibly man. I got to tell you, Josh, this game got me. Tell me things, Josh. Tell me about Starfield.
Man, I don't even know where to start with this game because it's so massive. They told us so much in 45 minutes and also told us nothing.
Yeah,
You could spend hours with this game and still not be able to tell me everything that you're going to encounter and you're going to experience. I still have no idea what the story looks like
yeah.
in this, and we've now had over an hour of footage and several more in interviews with Todd Howard. No clue what the story is going to be, and that's beautiful going into this. They
Hmm.
threw a wrench into it at the very end today that of something that they literally showed in a split-second screen and had me screaming like, "What the hell?" It's something that they haven't teased at all, and I really wish it would have just been left. And most people are going to encounter it in the game and not remember it from this. It looks like you almost use like force powers at the very end of the footage.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I mean, the fact that you literally can go anywhere, you can do anything. Like Todd was standing on a planet and says, "Hey, you see that moon up there? You can go explore that moon.
Yeah.
You can go there. There's 1,000 planets in this galaxy. You can farm for minerals. You can build bases. You can get allies. You can romance companions. Obviously, there's so much to do here. You can be you can choose to be a pirate. You can commit acts of piracy. There's dog fighting. You have to fly through asteroid belts to get out of the system safely to be able to jump. Like, who comes up with this shit?
Todd Howard.
Because this is a game that when we were hearing all the promises for the last couple of years, I was like, there's no way this game is going to live up to it. Even as recently as like a month and a half ago, I was like, this game has impossible expectations. Not even a month and a half ago. Like after the Redfall debacle, we were like, there's no way. There's the discourse for the next week until Tears of the Kingdom mercifully ended it was there is no way Starfield is going to succeed. Starfield has more pressure on it than ever before. This is probably the biggest game in Xbox's history, but beyond like Halo 3 in terms of the pressure to land.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how you QA. I swear the last year has been spent in QA with this game and touching
Oh
it.
yeah. It
It
has to be, man.
has to be. Like it's a Bethesda game. It's gonna be buggy when it launches, but the fact that if this game even runs properly and has even a halfway decent story, I think that this is like real talk. Like, could this be the greatest Xbox exclusive of all time? That's the territory that we're already at in terms of pre-release hype.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
already the number one selling game on Steam this week, and it's only been out for a few hours.
so I'll put
So
it this way: the caution and I understand the caution that some people are having after mega hyped games, namely Cyberpunk 2077 not meeting the expectations at launch.
Yeah.
The infamous yellow letter. I look at this and I go, I do not have the same feeling about that because we've already seen way more of this game than we ever did of Cyberpunk before it came out.
Yeah.
They are not trying to get this to run on Xbox Ones and PS4s that were released in 2012,
Thank God.
2013, excuse me.
Could you
Like,
imagine if they tried to release this on Xbox One?
I wouldn't be playing it. I promise you. This thing would be locked 10 frames on it.
Oh my gosh, that would be awful.
Everything about this game is fascinating. Every
Yeah.
goddamn thing is fascinating. And again, like I can't even begin to break down this direct because there's so much information in here. And I encourage and I implore everybody listening to this to please go watch this. If you do not watch anything else this summer from any of these shows, you need to watch this. This is
Yeah.
essential watching for anybody who is interested in video games, who is interested in the industry and science fiction. This, when you watch this video, you see people who love video games.
Yeah.
You get the
It's
impression from Todd, like just how long he has waited to make this. Like you do get the sense of when they say they've waited 25 years to make this game, it's like James Cameron with Avatar in a lot of ways. Like he had the idea in 94 and couldn't make it for 15 years because technology hadn't caught up.
yeah.
I get the feeling here with this. So,
Yeah, it's man, it was an incredible demo. Just the way they kind of broke everything down.
mhm.
The shipbuilding, looks incredible. I mean, they built that kind of really huge, ridiculous looking mech
Yeah,
thing.
it looked like a fucking Gundam.
Yeah. Uh I can't say enough good things about this demo. I mean, I really can't. And it got me. I like I said before, Josh, I'm not a huge Bethesda Game Studios guy.
Yeah,
Like I played a ton of Oblivion when it came out because like that and Gears of War were like the only two games I owned for like a year until Halo 3 came out, I think. Uh, and then I played some Fallout and I've played a little bit of all of them, right? But like,
yeah.
man, this
This
is
looks
something.
awesome.
Yeah, this is something quite different from those games, and I'm so excited to see, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, what people are building, what they're finding, what, how they're exploring. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's incredible. That's the only way to describe Starfield, I think, at this point. And that's why it's so hard to put into words what we saw because there's so much. There's so
Yeah.
much that we saw. Like, how do you possibly describe what we just saw?
Yeah.
And you can't. You can't.
Yeah. I don't think you can.
Again, the single best presentation I've ever seen for a singular game before its release. And Ryan McCaffrey, I believe, confirmed that he was, before his interview with Todd Howard yesterday, that he played an hour of this game behind closed doors.
Yeah. And dude,
Which,
that doesn't even sound like enough time to even get any sense of a,
no,
you know,
no, it was very clearly a vertical slice, but just how do you even like? Todd Howard said in the past that they came very close in the early 2000s to getting the Star Trek license, and that didn't happen. And so he spent forever trying to come up with how he wanted Starfield to work, and that this is his dream game. This is the first new world they've come up with since the Elder Scrolls. Can they strike gold a second time?
right.
And I think the
And
answer is yes.
I mean, it's very clearly a yes. I really feel like this. They have something here, man. This is going to be. I gotta tell you, Xbox is so lucky to have this game right now. I really feel that way. This is. I mean,
This is why they spent $8 billion.
yeah,
Is this studio,
yeah,
this IP? Everything else was extra.
yeah. And everything else that's extra is amazing. Like Doom, Wolfenstein, you know, Skyrim. I mean, obviously, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, all amazing things. But this, man, this is what they spent that money on. So I'm glad. I'm so happy for them. I really am. Uh, so anything else you want to say about Starfield, Josh? Before we kind of
No, I don't think there is anything to say. I just, again, the reason why I don't have anything to say is I think it's best described go watch it for yourself.
Yeah.
It is a 45-minute presentation for one game, but go watch it for yourself. Can I say first off that collector's edition is awesome.
Yeah, that looks pretty. It looks
I
pretty
cannot
awesome.
justify $300 for a watch though. I would get in a lot of trouble if I bought that. Number two, I am, however, buying the new Xbox wireless headset.
Yeah, it looks pretty
The
cool.
Starfield one looks awesome. I love the translucent mic, and on the controller, the triggers are translucent also. And those
Yeah.
are available right now. You do not have
Yeah.
to wait until September to get them. They're available now, which I'm glad for because my Xbox mic is on literally its last legs. I have the mic duct taped because it fell apart earlier.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
It is a 6-year-old headset
Yeah, that's
that
fair.
was $45 when I bought it. So it has. If anybody ever tells you that Astros do not stay together, I don't know what to tell you. That thing survived multiple moves. It has survived the cat biting it. It has survived countless Destiny rage quits. It's time, and I'm ready to get one of these Xbox wireless headsets. I've heard nothing but good things about them.
Yeah.
So very excited. Very
Yeah.
excited. 90s peripherals look cool. We did have one other question, and I wanted to ask you this now that we've gotten to the end of everything. We kind of addressed this, but was there anything we expected to be here that was not here outside of machine games?
I would.
Because I think
I
that's
mean,
far and away the most obvious.
I mean, it would have been nice for an update on maybe on Perfect Dark, but I also think that game is so far
Yeah.
behind where they want it to be that it probably would have done a disservice being here.
It's been
Um,
rebooted at least
yeah,
once.
I hope so. My hope is that they don't make it a first-person shooter. First of all, I know they kind of semi-confirmed that for the last trailer, but I hope they go the third-person kind of stealth action game. I really do, with gadgets and stuff. I don't know if they will, but I have a little bit of hope since Crystal Dynamics is helping with it, and they're
Certain
kind of
Affinity is doing the gunplay, so
yeah. So well, I
very
guess
confident there.
yeah. Uh, I am kind of surprised we didn't see Gears at all or the Coalition at all.
Um,
I'm a little surprised.
after the news that their side project supposedly got canned, I'm
Yeah,
not too surprised. I think we would have seen that here otherwise. And I mean, it's entirely possible that hey, sources are just mixed up and that game actually isn't canceled and it's just delayed or something.
yeah,
I also feel like Gears is one of the only Xbox franchises you can walk out, drop a trailer, and say it's out in 4 months and it'll be fine.
yeah.
I don't think we need a whole 18-month hype cycle for Gears of War anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was more hoping for like hey, we're gonna drop the collection that rumored collection, and then Gear 6 is now in development,
I would
kind of thing.
genuinely love to know who started that rumor. I know that people, because I listened to the Phil Spencer interview and I did not take that as an indication of we're doing collections. I took it as he meant our collections of games that we have upcoming.
Yeah.
I did not take that assumption the same way that other people did because to me it makes no sense to remake all 3 Fable games.
Yeah,
Because
I never thought Fable were going to
I
be
don't think
remade.
it makes sense for Gears either. I'm going to be honest. Gears 1 was the only one that needed it. They did it last gen, and then Gears 2 and 3 still play fine. They up-res, they're fine.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't think we need them. If they do them, cool. But I think that was a one-time thing for the Master Chief Collection, and I think Microsoft's very leery of doing that ever again after what happened with Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
As they should be. I think if MCC had landed correctly at launch, we would have seen a Marcus Phoenix collection within like a year,
yeah,
and not just Gears Ultimate. I think they
yeah,
looked at all that and scrapped it and said, "Here's Gears Ultimate, and we'll give you codes for all the 360 games with Gears 4."
yeah.
Um, I would say my only real disappointment, and I don't even know if it's a disappointment. I mean, Machine Games goes without saying. I think that's for both of us. That's the biggest one. No Indiana
Uh-huh.
Jones. Where is it?
Or Wolfenstein 3.
I don't care about Wolfenstein anymore. Pete Hines has indicated that game is so far off, it's not even funny. He's like, you're not getting that until after Indy from everything that he said. So, like, I don't know what they've been doing over there for 4 years, but
Yeah, I would have thought you would have gotten Wolfenstein 3 out of the way before Indiana Jones,
I
in
think
my
they had
opinion.
Wolfenstein in development. But also, like, I get the indication that they probably started dragging their feet because they didn't want to do another game like Youngblood that had online elements to it.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's my personal conspiracy theory. We talked about id briefly earlier. I think that's going to show up at QuakeCon. If it shows up anywhere, QuakeCon is the place. If they are if they really are making Quake. Also, like, they may show Wolfenstein 3 there because that was originally an id property.
Yeah.
I would say my only like real like where the hell is this is not perfect. State of Decay 3.
Yeah, I don't care. I feel like that game is so far
I
away.
don't care, but Undead Labs hasn't released a real game since 2017.
Yeah, but they just put out a huge update like 3 months ago
I
for
don't fucking care.
2.
I don't fucking care. Like, what is the rest of they have like 3 branches of this studio. What on earth are they doing over there?
I don't know.
What on earth is this studio doing? Like,
yeah. So
you talk about a studio that could use some new management. Undead Labs is one of the ones that comes to mind. I mean, there was that whole sexual harassment story that came out, I think, last year about that studio.
yeah, but didn't the guy that runs the studio, I forget what his name is, but didn't he just write like a huge letter that said like
I have no idea what happened after that.
I don't know. I don't remember.
All I know is when Polygon and Bloomberg are reporting on it, I tend to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So
so going back to QuakeCon real quick. I think so. This actually builds your theory of them, or of them announcing Quake and maybe Wolfenstein 3 there, because when it's QuakeCon, it's like in the fall sometime, right?
It's in August.
Yeah, they're gonna need another marketing beat, especially if Sony's gonna do another showcase. And I feel like that would be another place where you could, kind of play, have another
kind of
marketing
made
beat for the
QuakeCon
year.
a celebration of like Bethesda in general at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have Quake, then you can go back to it being QuakeCon, right?
Yeah.
I feel that Microsoft is probably going to do a second smaller showcase akin to like a state of play later this year.
Like around Gamescom, you think?
No, I think it's going to be after Starfield. It has to be after Starfield because I think they want the Activision purchase to go through first.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because you'll almost certainly get a roundtable video with Phil and Sarah and Matt Booty and Rod Ferguson will be there. Mike Ybarra, Bobby Kotick will be being escorted from the building as they're recording it. He's not going to be showing up except for maybe an in memoriam tribute with his golden parachute. But I think they'll do a video like they did with Bethesda and be like, hey, these games are going to come to Game Pass right away. Here's our plans for existing franchises like World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, etc. Nothing's going to change, this and that. All content is going to stay the same. Maybe you'll get some Game Pass perks for said games. But largely things are going to stay the same. And new IP, we're going to go on a case-by-case basis. I suspect that for Blizzard and for like Call of Duty, that means they're going to continue to be multi-platform. Like anything that say Toys for Bob, if Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions get saved from the Call of Duty machine, then their games will 100%, barring them making another Tony Hawk, their games will be exclusive.
Yeah.
I think anything that's Crash Bandicoot or Spyro will be multi-platform. But I think that's why Phil probably walks in there and goes, Banjo-Kazooie, get on it.
Yeah.
We're keeping this shit exclusive. Maybe we'll give Nintendo a deal. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. Man.
I got to think they're doing another smaller showcase later. Because Matt Booty even said today that they have not shown us, because people were like, oh, they need a tentpole for 2024. Avowed might be out in the first half of the year. Like, what are they going to have in the fall? And he was like, calm down. We haven't shown you everything for next year.
Yeah.
We still have things that we have not revealed about next year. There's also the question, like, we've seen Contraband. Where's Contraband at?
I know. I was thinking about that too. I was like, man, it's because like before, I think on the IGN stream, they were showing like last year's trailers. And also really hilariously showed a Final Shape trailer with an Xbox tag at the end of it.
That is very funny.
But yeah, I was like, oh man, I forgot Contraband was even a thing.
Yeah, that feels like the perfect game to just drop in the middle of summer because people will play it for like a month and then they're done.
Yeah. So that's going to be like a Smuggler's Run multiplayer style thing where you're kind of doing heists, right? And it's like
it's like 1970s Cambodia or something.
Yeah. That seems strange, but I don't know. Could be cool. I'm open to it.
Let me ask you a question. Because I feel like we're kind of getting into this, like just not necessarily unwittingly, but
Hmm.
how do you feel about Xbox overall after this showcase?
I
Was
have
this
to.
was this what they needed,
Yes.
or
Oh yeah. 100%. Especially because like after the whole Redfall thing and the Halo stumbles after launch and not having like a major first party game for a year, right? Like Xbox needed this, and I think that the showcase got highlighted even more because of the kind of subpar Sony showcase,
yeah,
right? And obviously Summer Game Fest wasn't amazing, right? I mean the
no,
Mortal Kombat stuff was cool, but like you know, I think Xbox really needed it, and I think they nailed it. I really think they nailed it, and I don't know if I have anything negative really to say about the showcase at all, except for one minor thing, but it's more of a nitpicky thing is that they ended on that Series S instead of
that
another game instead
God,
of the
what
game,
about taking the
right?
taking the wind out of the sails? I thought they showed that, and then I thought Phil was going to have a true one more thing, and I was like, what
I
the
know.
hell?
I know he said one more thing, and I started typing it out on Twitter. He's like,
Yep.
one more thing. We're gonna do a deep dive on Starfield. I'm like, oh, the Starfield's your one more thing. Okay, well,
Which felt kind of silly to say because
I
it's like,
know.
yeah, we know.
Yeah,
You build this as the game
yeah,
showcase with Starfield.
yeah. I would have liked like a some sort of tease for something new, right?
Yeah,
And but aside from that, I think Xbox really nailed this showcase. They came out swinging, right, with three bangers, right?
yeah.
They showed all the probably I would say 90% of what I expected them to show. Uh,
The only thing that was truly unexpected for me from Xbox's perspective is, other than the Sea of Thieves thing, of course, was Clockwork Revolution.
yeah, Clockwork Revolution. I actually think ending on that would have made the showcase better. To be honest,
Yeah,
like if
I
that was
agree.
your quote unquote one more thing.
I
Uh,
agree.
but yeah, I mean, this is exactly what Xbox needed. I think this is exactly what we wanted as Xbox fans. We kind of have a roadmap now, right? With Starfield and Forza this year, probably early next year, Hellblade, and a couple other things, right? Like it's coming together.
Yeah,
Everything we've been talking about for the last, I would say, since Phil Spencer took over, and then Game Pass became a thing,
the
and then
acquisitions.
the acquisitions and day one first party games to Game Pass, like this all this patient. I wouldn't say patient because I mean the internet is loud and
Yeah,
obnoxious, but like this waiting as an Xbox fan really paid off with this, and it's finally like okay, we turn the ship around. Now we're full steam ahead, right? And the next 3 to 5 years looks super promising for Xbox. And
yeah,
that's without Halo. That's without a Gears announcement, although we know it's in development, right? Like their heavy hitters aren't even in play right now, which is amazing because the next time we see Halo, it might be like something incredible. And the next time we see Gears, like I'm all for Gear 6. I'm ready. So, and then like Fable looks awesome. I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited for Xbox over the next 5 years.
yeah. I think this set up a really good roadmap for like the next probably 2 years or so.
Hmm. Yeah,
For most of this to be out, next year. And I saw people like joking, like, "Oh, it's the showcase of 2024," and it's like, did you not watch the last two showcases?
yeah,
Did you not watch Summer Game Fest and the PlayStation Showcase? Because not a single fucking thing other than Alan Wake and Mortal Kombat is coming out this year from those.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that this was exactly what Xbox needed. This was a shot in the arm.
Hmm.
But I've also like you and I have not been nearly as down on Xbox as a lot of the gaming community or like social media especially has been.
Right.
I always thought that was really overblown. Yes, Redfall was a massive stumble, but I want you guys to peep some of those review scores from the early PS3 days. I want you
Yeah,
to peep some of them for some of these early like PS4 games.
yeah.
It's
And I
it's
want to
bad.
I want to remind everybody too, like even though they aren't like the AAA bangers, right? Like we still over the last like couple years, we still got Hi-Fi Rush, we got Pentiment, I mean Grounded came out and launched pretty successfully. We got a couple third-party partnerships that were pretty awesome. Game Pass has been, getting a lot of huge day
Yeah,
one games. Like,
I want to note, like you said when you started saying like the things that they've done right. I do want to note the one thing that I think Xbox has been doing really, really well in spite of all that. There's two things. One, their multiplayer games. I think
mhm.
overall
Oh
those
yeah,
games we hear all the bickering and complaining about live service games, quote unquote, over with PlayStation's new initiative and stuff. And it's like, man, they're really trying this for a third time. Like Microsoft kind of nailed it in 2002 and has only gotten better.
yeah,
I remember the days of Mech Assault and Project Gotham 2, Halo 2, obviously, and then, going into the 360 with everything. I remember Xbox Sports Network. That's how far back I
oh
remember.
god,
I
yeah.
remember
I know.
XSN. And, like, remember
Remember?
what a mega deal it was that EA was going to bring their games to Xbox Live?
Yeah, I mean, remember they wouldn't bring them over first because of the whole Ethernet thing,
Oh,
and then
it
Xbox tried
was
to make their own, and it was like, oh, remember NFL? What was it with Peyton Manning that just
NFL
didn't look?
Fever.
Yeah. Oh my
And it
god.
was like, and I mean, like, they did things like that. And, like, it was the only place to play EA games online until, like, 2008.
Yeah.
They were doing this on the OG Xbox. Like,
Yeah.
and you look at some of these, like, I said this after the PlayStation showcase recap. If a game like Sea of Thieves had launched on a Sony platform and done as bad as it did at launch, that game never would
Mhm.
have been given a chance to grow into what it is.
Yeah.
Instead, it's grown into becoming one of Game Pass's big, like, anchor games. It generates a ton of revenue, and it's got a lot of creative freedom. Like, I feel like they're always doing new things in Sea of Thieves. Like, I look at things like that, and that's why, like, okay, yeah, Halo Infinite has had some stumbles. Halo should not have those stumbles. This is an important franchise, but I think it's becoming less important when you look at these games that are taking new initiatives. And it's funny that they're like less the studios they're acquiring now feel like they're focused more on multiplayer. When you look at things like Activision and Blizzard, like that's a ton of multiplayer that you're bringing in, a ton of
Yeah.
multiplayer experience, because it allows their other teams to focus on just single player experiences now, or whatever they want to. Like, the other thing that I think they've done really, really well, and I hope they continue to do well, if Towerborn is any indication, I think that they're going to keep doing this. The smaller games.
Mhm.
We look at
Yeah.
even 2020. Like, 2020 was seen as a bad year for Xbox. I argued it was actually a pretty good year that just needed one or two anchor games. It needed a
Mhm.
Forza Horizon or a Halo Infinite. To be fair, Halo Infinite was supposed to anchor it, but you had Gears Tactics, you had Tell Me Why, you had Battletoads, you had Ori and the Will of the Wisps, you had Minecraft Dungeons, like
Flight Simulator.
you had Flight Sim. Like, that was not a bad year for software.
No. No.
Much in the same way, last year was not technically a bad year from my perspective. It just lacked an anchor or two. You had As Dusk Falls, which I thought was very creative in its storytelling choices and its graphics. I actually really loved the look of that game. I would love for Interior Night to do another game with Xbox. You had Grounded come to a full release and not just be in beta, which it was breaking records even in early access when it first came out. And then you had Pentiment, which got 10 out of 10s from multiple publications.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you want? And then you had Hi-Fi Rush, which was a surprise drop earlier this year. And we had another Age of Empire. I think Age of Empires 2 came to console. You had GoldenEye come back. Like,
Mhm.
these are things, like, the little things matter. And I think that's something that Microsoft has done really, really well over the past few years.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean,
It
even like AAA, like you're talking about all these other games. Like Psychonauts 2 is like it's not like Psychonauts is some household name, right? And that's
No,
like something that really I think that is a very complimentary game to when Halo and Forza
yeah,
came out.
that's a very, like, that's like a double A if I had to
Yeah.
guess. Like,
Yeah.
that is a very double A game in the way that I feel like Compulsion's game is probably going to be, right? Um, like, I'm okay with these experiences though, because, like, Psychonauts 2 was my game of the year that year. Like, it was still the best thing I played all year. It was so worth the wait. I loved the original Psychonauts as a kid, and I finally got to experience it again as an adult. And it was amazing. The stupid theme park ride is still stuck in my head, like, all the time. I still find myself humming it. But it's like, you get these experiences with Xbox, and I think that they've done a really good job at variety and everything else, that if we just have those tent poles, we're okay. And Matt Booty reaffirmed today, sitting there with the press and everything, saying that they aim to have a major triple A level game. Like, we're talking Starfield or an Avowed every 3 months this year and
Yeah.
next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm here for it, man. They clearly see other games as like smaller ones, like Towerborn is going to help supplement that. Flight Sim is going to help supplement that.
Yeah.
And like, let's not. I think I got to praise another thing. ID at Xbox, they had the one stumble at the very beginning of Xbox One when they were like, yeah, Dom Matrick was like, oh, we're not doing Summer of Arcade, we're not doing indies anymore. Indies do not become what they are on consoles as quickly as they do without Xbox Live Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And without the Xbox Live Developer Program and things like that. Like, that's how we ended up with games like Limbo. So to see them immediately realize how bad of a decision this was and set up ID at Xbox. Chris Charla is like secretly one of Xbox's greatest assets. He's been doing this for over a decade for them. All he does is meet with indie devs to get them to pitch their game to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And they invest in these. What was it? Sarah was talking about it today. Like, they have another program that they do that helps marginalized creators be able to bring their games to the market, and they've like already sponsored 40 or 50 games like that.
Yeah.
Like, the future has never looked brighter. Phil was affirming today that they are more profitable today in the Xbox division by like what was it? It was some crazy number. Like,
it was like 30 or 40% more than
more
like what
than
the
the
360
360.
Air. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
insane.
At least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, the future has never looked brighter. I know we're gonna get out of here. It's never looked better. I am very excited to see where we get there. They have a whole article over on Xbox Wire, Xbox's bright future and how we'll get there. They announced another partnership with GeForce today.
Yeah, that was huge. Your entire Game Pass library can be streamed on GeForce Now.
They did have to like change that to say select games, but they are really pushing that Starfield is going to be one of those.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going, because like I wonder if they don't want to step on any toes from Steam, and I wonder if it's like a curated version of Game Pass specifically for this, right? Like their first party games and maybe a few extras, right?
So I want to read a stat here about ID at Xbox. This is one of the ones I was looking for. Our indie program, ID at Xbox, has now paid out over $4 billion to over 5,000 creators in 100 countries. Our new developer acceleration program is helping to bring new, less heard voices into the space. We've already helped to fund projects from 30 underrepresented developers and are in contact with 250 more. One of Sarah Bond's favorite notes coming out of the showcase today is that every one of the Game Pass titles featured this year comes from a creator that has previously released a game with Game Pass. That is just absolutely wild.
Mm-hmm.
That is wild. I'm gonna look for the exact Phil Spencer number. If you wanna, share any final thoughts that you have, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waving the Xbox flag for so long, Josh. You and I,
so long,
and like even in the the droughts, we've been aiming to use Xbox in different ways. Like we bought the Series X obviously for the potential of Xbox first party, but also like Destiny for 60 frames a second, or Game Pass, or the online service is better than PlayStation's, right? Or I mean, just the way the console functions in terms of like the store is leagues above PlayStation's in terms of discoverability and searchability and just finding things in general. And even when we got things like Crackdown, right? Which, granted, Crackdown 3 was not not an amazing game, but I think that Xbox just, it offers so much outside of their first party that I don't know. It kind of shocks me sometimes when people, and I get that PlayStation has the these massive exclusives that everybody loves, but it just kind of like,
rightfully so.
yeah. But like for people who have both consoles or like are just thinking about choosing one over the other, and I I don't know, man. I still prefer Xbox. I don't even remember the last time I turned my PlayStation on, to be honest with you. I mean, I know I'm missing some things on there, but like I just love the
Yeah.
Xbox, man,
It's
and
the
I'm not.
ecosystem that I love, and
Mhm.
man, I really the controller, the UI, Xbox Live, Game Pass, like it all just comes together in such a good package, and now I can play games on the go,
Yeah, that's the
and
other thing
I
too. Is
love
like,
that. I've started playing games on my iPad.
yeah, and that's the other thing too. Is like the cloud stuff. Although it's not quite there yet. Like it's
Yeah.
really serviceable for like, like you said, the new Stoic game, tower, what is it called?
Towerborn.
Towerborn. Like that'll be perfect for cloud gaming, or Persona 5 Tactics, or you're never gonna go on there and play, do Destiny raids in the cloud gaming, or Halo
No,
multiplayer,
I
right? But
famously
like,
tried to play. I tried to play PvP via cloud gaming, and it did not work. But it
mm,
held up for a strike. I did do Nightfalls on airport Wi-Fi a couple of
oh
years ago,
man,
and it
that's
actually ran pretty decently.
that's brave of you. But like, I use my I use my Xbox every day. I
Yeah.
run all my apps through it, like
Yep.
YouTube and
Yep.
Netflix and Disney Plus. Like I run it all through there. I play games on it almost daily. I I mean, it's my whole entertainment center, and I think we're finally at that point that where what the Xbox One wanted to be when they revealed it. But they've done
Yeah.
it, but they've changed like done such a great job of changing the message to where like it just happened naturally, aside from plugging your cable box into the console. But I mean, with the streaming
I
apps, like they
really,
kind of
really miss that extra HDMI in. I'm gonna be
do.
honest.
You do really?
I genuinely used it because I ran my Switch through it.
Oh,
I ran my Switch
oh,
through it so that I could free up an HDMI port on my TV, but also so I could play things like Smash Brothers with my friends in an Xbox party.
oh. That's yeah. I
Yeah,
never really thought about that. I guess
I miss that, and I genuinely miss the snap functionality from early Xbox One.
like
Yeah,
Connect. Oh man.
I was one of the defenders of Connect. Chelsea and I were living separately at the time. We hadn't moved in together. We'd been together for about a year. I would be able to snap her in on Skype while I was
Mhm.
playing a game or watching Netflix or something,
Yeah,
and I loved that.
I had my Connect hooked up for a long time, and then I got rid of it with my launch Xbox One. So and when I got the One X, and then I really missed it. So I ended up I ended up getting Todd Oxtra's old Connect and
Friend of the
buying the
show, friend of the
yeah,
show. We
friend of the
love
show,
Todd.
Todd Oxtra, secret friends.
Yeah, please
Uh
go listen to Secret Friends.
yeah. And I got the adapter, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And I kind of missed it with the Xbox Series X. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I never got the adapter, unfortunately. I do still have a launch day Connect sitting in a box in my closet.
Hmm.
I might have to try and track down an adapter, but I do have a few little nuggets from the behind
Yes.
closed doors media session today.
Yeah, yeah. We should probably do that, huh?
These are sourced from Steven Totillo over at Axios and Imran Khan, both of whom are really good sources for industry news. Um, Xbox boss Phil Spencer says gaming revenue for the company is double what it was in the 360 era. Says Xbox has more players than ever, and they are expecting more than $1 billion in PC gaming revenue alone this year. He talked about being committed to the purchase of Activision Blizzard. We're trying to get to solutions with the regulators. Xbox Studios boss Matt Booty says they think they've turned the corner on game releases. Hints there are still 2024 games to come that haven't been announced. He also might have been hinting at 2025. It was a little bit vague. Goal is 4 big games a year. So your Starfields, your Avoweds, your Halos, things like that.
Mhm.
Todd Howard says he's mostly playing Starfield on a Series S when he's playing at home because his kids hog the Series X. Says it runs nicely on the Series S. And then that's all from Steven Totillo's feed. And then Imran says that Phil Spencer on Activision Blizzard King acquisition. We are out there to find the solutions to the regulators that have questions. Sarah Bond talked about how excited she was about Thunder Lotus, noting they sold over 2 million units of Spiritfarer, so they're very excited about 33 Immortals. Matt Booty notes that a lot of our teams have moved to developing on Unreal Engine 4 and 5. And this was the nugget I was talking about with Phil Spencer earlier. So many of our new customers this generation came from Xbox Series S. We've also heard the feedback on the 500 gigs on that console. Um, the last note, and I thought this was very funny. Phil Spencer notes that he's playing Diablo 4 right now. It has nothing to do with the acquisition. It's just a great game. Also says Zelda is incredible and Spider-Man in that showcase looked great.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I love the Xbox leadership team.
Yeah.
I do not know if there is a better group of people, and I mean, I would include Pete Hines in this.
Yeah.
I do not know if there's a better group of people suited to lead a company in this industry. It makes me miss the days of Reggie leading Reggie and obviously Iwata leading Nintendo, the days of Miyamoto leading him. And obviously we all miss Sean Layden and Shuhei and Adam Boyes leading.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
It's night and day with Jim Ryan. And it's so refreshing that we went to this, and it took a while to get here after Don Matrick and Phil Harrison nearly ran the brand literally out of town.
Did I speaking of Jim Ryan, did I tell you I had a tweet go viral the other day?
No.
Yeah, it got something like 1,200 likes and like a ton of retweets, and I was responding.
God.
So so Gene Parker, the Washington Post, tweeted.
Yeah. Oh, we love Gene.
Yeah, tweeted out that picture of Jim Ryan holding the controller. You know, like I was like, capital G gamer playing the latest PlayStation hit of the month.
Oh my God. I just I look at this team and knowing that you're about to add Rod Ferguson back into this group
my gosh,
in a senior role.
Rod is so cool, man. Rod is on my bucket list interview thing.
I look at this team, and then that's not including like Fergus and Josh Sawyer over at Obsidian, who I think are like just two of the coolest creators on the face of the earth. Josh Sawyer's feed is talking about medieval church history and fixing bikes at swap meets and ranking shower water pressure at every hotel he stays at. Like, this is the kind of kooky content I'm here for. But like, you have Tim Schafer as part of that. You had up until like 2 or 3 months ago, you had Shinji Mikami. Like, there are so many people at these studios that are making these incredible experiences and these games that you want to play. And it feels like it's just like, I don't know, like a big summer camp every time these guys get together. Like,
I know.
The best thing I saw about this, last thing I promise. The best thing I saw that summed up this show, I don't remember if it was from VGC or if it was from Polygon, but it said, for 2 hours, it felt like the magic of E3 was back because of Xbox.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
That is the best, most ringing endorsement I can possibly give this roadmap. It felt like we were all kids watching E3. I felt like I was looking at things that when I was a kid, I would have been so stoked reading in my Game Informer. I would have been sitting by the mailbox waiting for this issue as a kid. And I did. From the day they announced the GameCube, when the GameCube was there for the first time, that was the first E3 issue I ever had of Game Informer.
Yep.
I was obsessed from that point onward. I knew it was my goal to do something with this for the rest of my life. And here we are 20 years later.
Yeah. I want to say one last thing about the Xbox leadership team, which you and I both agree, one of the best leadership teams probably ever in gaming, maybe ever. I'm not, time will tell, but like, I think the reason why they're great too is they're so relatable, and they feel relaxed and they feel like they actually play games and know what they're talking about. Like, because like you look at PlayStation leadership or Nintendo leadership right now, right? And they feel like suits who are trying to sell a product, right? They feel like they're trying to, do business and like, granted, Xbox trying to make money too, right? But like, Phil and Sarah feel so relatable in terms of like, you could go out and talk video games with them over a beer at some point, or Pete Hines has always been awesome.
Uncle Pete, Uncle Pete.
Aaron Greenberg's out there like taking pictures in Mexico like it's his job, or at what, FanFest, right? Like
he was at FanFest LA. Larry Herb is out in Mexico.
Okay, I had him swapped. And I mean, that's another thing. Larry's out there like taking selfies from the stage with all these people cheering. Like, they're just so good at being relatable and having that message still come across.
And
And
it feels like, and I know that like part of this is like they understand that like you got to be like this if you're going
mhm,
to connect with gamers as a suit these days.
mhm,
But when I see like, because Reggie used to be, and that's why I long for Reggie and Sean to be back,
mhm,
right? Because
mhm,
they were very much of the mindset that Phil is like, we are gamers first and executives second.
mhm.
And that because we play these games, we want to make the games that we want to play.
Right.
And that's what, Phil has said is the most important thing to him is he wants games that he wants to play and that we want to play.
Yeah.
And this guy, you can add anybody as a friend on Xbox, and I love having him on my friends list to see what he's playing occasionally
Mhm,
because it's always some new indie, or it was Destiny 2 for the longest time.
mhm.
But it's been Diablo
Yeah.
for the last week. He was playing, despite all the criticism, he was still slugging it out in Redfall like a trooper.
Yeah.
And
I
I look at
wonder
these
I
guys
wonder,
and
like, especially, like, the Redfall thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no,
But,
you're
like,
you're good. I was rambling.
especially the Redfall thing, like, him playing through it, like, I mean, obviously, the game didn't turn out how they wanted it to, right? But, like, him kinda slugging through it, I wonder also, like, it almost feels like he's playing it to, like, learn from the mistakes they made and try to figure out
Mhm.
how to better lead a team that maybe is struggling a little bit
Some
also.
something that stuck with me, and this was from the Bethesda acquisition. Todd noted in that first video that they put out after it was finalized that when 76 came out and was a dud, he called Phil. And he said it was
Mhm,
to ask him for advice on what on earth do I do with a live service game that's a dud? Because
mhm.
this is uncharted territory for me. And he's like, that was the first call I made was to Phil, to Xbox. They were our partners for years and years and years. Who do I call? Who do I pick up the phone and call? Who has the experience? And I do think that part of that also was like, hey, please fucking buy us.
Yeah.
But I do truly believe that that's when the conversation first came up.
Mhm.
But all kidding aside, it's like it shows that mutual trust, like the partnership that they have built for 20 years. That's why it didn't feel weird that they went and got Bethesda. It would have felt weird if Bethesda joined Sony or Nintendo. Them coming to Xbox felt like, and they even noted it, like Todd and Pete were like, it kind of felt like coming home.
Yeah.
It felt like we've been here for 20 years, because they were the only ones we could get to work Morrowind with, and they didn't balk at it. They were like, what do you need from us? This sounds like a really cool game to have on our platform. And if we have the power to do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that led to, 20 years of cooperation. Like we've always joked that those games were always better optimized on Xbox than anywhere else, anyways.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the
So
Skyrim joke, right? I mean,
that's the Fallout 4 joke. Yeah.
yeah.
Our friend Ray played it on there and he had to stop. He actually stopped and went and played it on Xbox because it was so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, all jokes aside, incredibly bright future. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm gonna play so many of these games. I'm gonna spend so much more time on my Xbox than I already do.
Yeah. I mean, my goal, I mean, I've kind of like, yeah, I mean, people who are stumbling across this who don't normally listen to Boss Rush content, but like, even on Nintendo Power Block, I've kind of like not shied away from that show, but like, I've been playing so much more Xbox, and like Zelda
Mhm.
came out and it was like like, no offense to my Switch, but it's like the first time I turned my Switch on and like, I don't know, since Fire Emblem came out, which was January, and I fell off of that pretty quickly, to be honest. And it's just like Xbox is where I want to be. I really do miss doing an Xbox podcast, right? But like
Yeah,
there's no time in the schedule for that. But that's what these extra conversations are for, right? So
yeah.
uh and Xbox I'm telling you, man, I had like 5 people reach out to me today asking me about if that new Series S was worth getting.
Hmm.
Uh because they didn't want to spend $500 on a box, but they want to play Xbox games. I'm like, well, if you're only going to play Xbox games, yeah, totally worth it. Just get it, man. These games are going to
Yeah,
be,
get the 1
uh,
terabyte.
yeah. This, I don't know, man. I feel like it feels good to be like we've been waving the flag for so long, and the people are finally like hopping on. I don't, I want to be positive about the ecosystem and tell people like get
Yeah.
in here. This is an awesome place to be.
This is the time. This is the time. The hype train is officially pulling out of the station right now.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we have some, it's not just hype, it's not empty hype, it's tangible for the first time in years. Like
yeah,
we've had good showcases in 2021 and 2022 which we were like, oh my god, these are like two of the best shows Microsoft's ever done. And this dwarfs those.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there were things I wish I would have seen. I wish we'd have gotten an update on Silk Song. We knew that wasn't coming. Stalker and Replaced, we're not getting updates on those because of the war.
Yeah.
You know, and like you can't hold that against the developers. Like,
yeah, but you know what that makes me excited for? It makes me excited for the next showcase and then the next one, because there's always going to be stuff to show.
Like that, and
update
that's something that I think that Brian McCaffrey noted really well, and that we've noted a few times. Think about all the other games we know that they're making that they didn't have here today. Think about what's going to be ready to show next time. And I saw like people in the comments be like, "Oh, we're probably just going to see all this same stuff again. All this was cutscenes," and it's just like, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait, guys.
Mm-mm.
No, it's here. This is what we saw was real.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's awesome. Can't wait. Any final thoughts, Josh? Before we,
I've shared enough final thoughts. Get me out of here, Captain.
All right. So yeah, everybody, go get an Xbox if you don't have one. Also, if you have a nice PC, obviously, sign up for Game Pass. You have all these games coming to PC also, which is also something we never touched on, right? You don't even need an Xbox to play these games. If you have a PC, you can play them.
You arguably only need a phone.
Yeah. Well,
if you want to get really crazy, you need a phone or a low-res Chromebook that can run GeForce Now.
Yep.
They specifically say in here, the PC Game Pass catalog can be played on any device that GeForce Now streams to, like low-spec PCs, Macs, Chromebooks, mobile devices, and TVs. My LG Smart TV, my OLED has GeForce.
Yeah. Did you, by the way, I mean, the Mac conference, did you see that Macs are finally getting a Proton equivalent that will run Windows games on Macs?
Yeah, you got to pay thousands of dollars for it, though. I'd rather just build a PC at that point.
I already have one. I'm recording on it.
Unbelievable.
Good to go. Anyways, I guess if I'm trying to work with Xbox, I shouldn't say I'm working on an Apple machine. It's fine. It's fine. I have Windows on my boot camp.
He has a Surface tablet at home. No iPads in that house.
No. Anyways, I want to, Josh, thank you again for joining me tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so hyped. Where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn, 2 N's, and you can find me every single Friday morning on Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, to hear me talk about Destiny and kind of talking about like whatever other game happens to capture my fancy right now. Right now, it's Diablo 4. It was Tears of the Kingdom for a few weeks. It's gonna be Final Fantasy soon. It's good eating over there.
Yeah.
That will be a Starfield only pod for the month of September. Sorry, Destiny.
Oh man, it's fine.
I kid, but also I'm like completely serious.
You're not kidding. We know what's happening.
I'm not.
You can find me at IamCoreyHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on most of the things here on the Boss Rush Network. You can find new episodes on Mondays of the Boss Rush podcast. You can find these extras throughout the week and spotlight episodes, which is pretty exciting ones coming up. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye. This episode of the Boss Rush podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Deering, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.